Yeah, I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat. Yo, grew my hair and took the grill out. Think it's time to put it back in. Trying to get into that big house, turn the crib into the mansion. Needed something with that big bounce. You know I had to hit Jackson. Aaron Rodgers with the quick routes. How with the gang we packing? We on the field at Lambo. Might peel in a Lambo. Running drills in my camo. They know what the M stand for. Still got fam in Hawaii, yeah. Couple fans in the lobby, yeah. Couple grand in my pocket, yeah. Couple grams of wasabi, yeah. Eye it up, no glasses. Light it up, no matches. Wife it up, no ratchets. Might turn my wife to an actress. And we gon' make a movie, no Kim K. Give a fuck about what your friends say. I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
I'm just sticking to the code, I keep it so G. She asked me what I smoke, I'm smoking OG. I don't fool with too many, only catch me 4 deep. Gotta stay away from snakes, swear these people so creep. I've been grinding for a minute, many labels so sleep. These rappers drop a song, script be hot for about a week. I put Gucci on my toes, I keep some cold feet. I ain't paying for no hoes, you niggas know me. I'm about to body the beat. I keep me a hottie with me. She wanna for a fee. Give me that for free. Keep me some money on me. Smoking the gas key. You with me, sheesh. Bonito, cheap, Keith.
I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
Hop in the car, watch it go vroom, vroom. I told her mom that I bust soon, soon. Knew as a child back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my broom, vroom. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I'm in a whip, so I gotta zoom. They tryna talk, they not in the room. I been so real, I'm dead to the tomb. They in the way, they gotta move. I gotta gas, they running on fumes. Told them way back, it's something new. It's me and Dan, you gotta choose. I'm taking what's mine, I'm doing fine. Don't see the vision, they looking so blind. I hit my lawyer, I don't got the time. Crossing my T's and he dotting those eyes. Don't take offense if I do not oblige. I can't relate but like none of these guys. They hit me once and I'm cutting the ties. I was so low but I'm back on the rise, it's real. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom, vroom. I told her mom that I bust soon, soon. Knew as a child back in the womb. Oh, told her step back. I'm hopping now I gotta go. I'm looking back, they not even close. I had a 4. Now I need a ghost. I got a wave like I'm on the coast. Same ones a doubt and I dare to show. So way that I'm ballin', they think I'm a pro. I'm getting sick by the money I gross. They saying whoa, I told them all what this is. I told them all I don't miss. Said it's my time, look at this shit on my wrist. And when they shootin' this breaks, I'm going in a new gig, gotta shift. I cannot stick to the script, I cannot wait. Watch how I get it and flip. It's just how I'm doing this shit and I'm gone. Just how I'm doing this shit and I'm gone. Just how I'm doing this shit and I'm gone.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know.
Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, here we go. Yeah, we winning
Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Guys, I saw that chat flying. I was like, something's up. Looked over, muted. Sorry about that, guys. But we got a lot to look at today on the charts, guys. And we're going to go over the local price action. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Throw some green check marks, some candles in the chat so I know you guys hear me now. But we got a lot to look at here on the charts today, guys, as Bitcoin is attempting to flip a key level of resistance. Well, it was a level of support. Now it's resistance, trying to flip it back into support. And this could open the door for a bigger pump to the upside. Not necessarily looking for all-time highs from here, guys. As we know, money flow is coming out. Are we going to get that 4-hour fake out on money flow being in the red? I'm going to cover everything with you guys here. We'll cover the key levels. We'll talk about the level that we're trying to flip right now. We'll cover the resistance. And then I do want to take a step back here, guys. And I want to take a look at the higher time frame. I'm going to pull up the cycle chart. And like I said yesterday, I do want to play a little bit of devil's advocate here, guys, because there are obviously a lot of things on the charts. If you guys, watch this show to any capacity, right, we have been looking at a lot of stuff that does look pretty good for a final push up on Bitcoin to send us into that altcoin season. But yesterday we were playing a little bit of devil's advocate. How could that play out differently? Could this time be different? What could trigger a bear market for Bitcoin? Is the top in? And I just want to preface this, guys. I'm not here to spread fear. I do still think, my base case for the most part is going to be for an eventual alt season and a potential new all-time high on Bitcoin. But, as always, when we approach the charts here, guys, we do not approach this with emotion, just hoping that our base case is right. We have to look at the flip side of the coin, and I kind of wanted to go over that with you guys in case we do get this bigger drop down to our next key levels. I want to talk about this. Somebody in the chat, I forgot who said it, but shout out to you. It's really weird that you mentioned that because he said we're entering that length, that range of, how long bull markets can last. So I do just want to talk about, again, my base case is that we could continue up. There's a lot of good things on the charts. There's a lot of things lining up. Nothing really has changed, and there is nothing like on the chart as of right now that would be like an instant like, hey, Bitcoin's topped out. We're going into a bear market. But I do just want to play a little bit of devil's advocate and go over the bearish case with you guys and kind of talk about what that could look like. And, if the top was in at 125K. But again, to be completely explicit here, this is not my base case, but it is a possibility. So I do want to just go over that with you guys and kind of give you a clear view of what I'll be looking for, how it could potentially play out. We'll take a look at the length of this bull market. How much further can we really go? And yeah, we're going to break it all down for you guys. And again, I'm not causing fear here. There's nothing about this drop down or the bounce that we're getting here that's making me think, oh my God, the top is in. But I do just kind of want to cover that and just play devil's advocate, right? This is very important, not only when you're trading, but when you're investing long-term in your spot bags, right? You do have to keep in mind, everybody was expecting 100K in 2021, and what happened, right? We topped out at 69K and then sent it into the bear market. So I just want to have you guys prepared there and just give you my thoughts. And again, I'll end that with letting you know that my base case is still for more upside for many, many different reasons. But you got to be ready for those surprises in the market because you don't want to get caught off guard there. And again, I'll kind of show you how I'll expect that to play out and how I'll be playing it personally. But first off, let's cover those local levels, and we'll cover the current Bitcoin price action. If we can flip this level of support or resistance to support, we could see a little bit of a continuation up here. So shout out to the CandleMafia. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Borpato, what is going on, man? Welcome in. Says BTC ends in euphoria, and we don't have it. Yeah, shout out to Borpato, right? This is something we talked about yesterday, right? Like, this just isn't the market sentiment that you have at the top of the bull market, which, again, is why I do lean more bullish, and my base case is for the bullish case to play out. But it is important to look at both sides of the coin, right? And then maybe you'll see the bear case and be like, you know what? I don't really trust his bullish base case. I'm going to go, with my own kind of analysis. Maybe you're more bearish. I just want to show you guys the actual information on the charts, and we'll just kind of compare, what has happened in the past, what could potentially happen. We'll look at all those puzzle pieces and hopefully give you guys a little bit more of a clear view. And then I think what I'll do is I'll kind of sum this up in a pre-record so you guys can go back and rewatch it, and I'll upload it to the channel maybe at some point this week. So shout out to Borpato. We got Jesse in the chat, our like police guys. Don't forget to smash that like button. Every 100 likes we get gives you guys some free chances to win some free crypto. We're giving away some Cardano. If we get 1,000 likes on tonight's live stream, we'll give away $250 in Solana. So smash that like button. Shout out to Simano, said BTC ends at mic drop. Shout out to Simano. Welcome in. We got Jay in the chat. What is going on? We got AR Perez in the chat. Said, Frankie, what's good, my guy? Let's do this chart thing. So without further ado, guys, show them on some love in the chat. Let's see who we got in here. We got Crypto Billy in the chat. What is going on, bro? We got Rob the Crypto Snob, Tyler Durden, Tony D. You guys, they digital chemistry, bro. You guys know the mods. Go ahead and show them some love in the chat. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into these charts and hopefully see the bullish case play out. Let's get into it. All right, guys. So here we are. And again, I'm going to cover the local price action first, right? Just let you guys kind of know what we're looking at here. As you can see, right, we have gotten that drop to the downside. We have come so close to this, $111,850 low. We have not put in a lower low just yet, but we have come down. And we talked about this yesterday, guys. Talking about how, bounces from here are probably going to be lackluster. And I'll be honest, medium term, even if we are able to continue up here, I will be looking for potential lower highs and lower lows. Still, same sentiment as yesterday. But yesterday, very specifically, right, we were looking at the fact that, we did have some bullish signals down here, but we did front run that daily level. And you can see we just front ran it by a tiny bit. And anytime you front run a key level of support like that, guys, it is going to be, in my opinion, more probable to come back down and retap that key level of support. And you can see this in like full action here. I would say 8 out of 10 times you will see this happen. It's not impossible to just front run a level and go, but more often than not, you will come back down to tap that key level. And it's really funny. It's just like Bitcoin's just like, yeah, I'm just going to go down, tap that daily, and then send it back up. Pretty wild to see that happen. But now, as the reason why I wasn't really amped on a huge bounce from here was because, we didn't really come down and tap any key support. We front ran the daily, right? We come down, we tap it, and now we have had that level hit. And we do also have some 1 hour bullish divergences. We got those lower lows on our price action. We got those higher highs on our momentum waves. You could even look at this as an anchor and trigger wave situation. Typically when you have these big anchor waves with a nice little tight trigger wave close to that 0 line, I kind of explain this as like a, one of these things with the hammer, right? And then it's got like a little barrel here. You got the trigger right there, and then you pull that trigger, and you usually send it to the upside, right? So you do have the bullish divergence on the 1 hour, right? We also have some other bullish signs on market cipher B here for a potential continuation up. So bullish divergences. We also got an SFP of this low here, which was absolutely beautiful, right? Pretty much just that daily wick below, close above, and we are getting that push to the upside. Now we are attempting to flip this key level, and just locally here, guys, we caught a little scalp short here in the premium Discord today. But other than that, complete and total chop here today, guys. This price action is look at this. This is insane, right? So if you're getting chopped out there today, just don't feel bad. This is very, very choppy price action. I mean, this is just nasty. But as we have this key level of resistance we looked at yesterday, this was our big level of support. We had a weekly and a daily level, and then we also had our 786 Fibonacci retracement, right? Pulled from the low here. Come on, right from, come on. Where's it at? There we go. The low all the way to the all-time high here. The 786 was also a part of this zone, and what happened here, guys? We melted right through this resistance level pretty aggressively, right? And then as you come back up, obviously it is going to be resistance. We got some chop on here earlier today, but this is going to be the big key level. And I'm going to show you a different context here that you can look at this in. But if we are able to hold this level of support and get back above that 786, I do think we might be able to get a little bit more of a push to the upside. And I'll show you that different context in a minute to kind of show you how high we could potentially go. But at the end of the day, you come down to key support. You got the lower lows, you got the higher lows. Not only on the 1 hour, but you also got this on time frames like the 30-minute, and then you got the SFP, very nice, into the key level of support, which we did not have yesterday. And just keep that in mind, guys, when you're out there trading front run. Oftentimes you will come back down and tap that level. So we got the bullish confirmations. We're coming up here. If we can hold this level as support, guys, we could see that continuation up. And again, I will bring up those next key levels. But first, I want to cover market cipher B here. Not only did we have the 1 hour bullish divergence with the SFP into the key level of support, but we also do have our 1 hour money flow cruising to the upside here very, very, very nicely. And you guys know where I'm going from here. If you know where I'm going to go from here, guys, go ahead and drop it in the chat. And I won't look. I'll give you guys a second to answer. But you all know I'm going to come up to that 16-hour time frame, because when you have that 1 hour money flow coming into the green, if you could time that with a 16-hour green dot, it does give you a market cipher B 1/16th bullish setup, which could give you that little continuation to the upside that we would hope for, right? And you can see the VWAP has been below the zero line for quite some time. We are getting very, very close here to printing that green dot. Now, obviously, money flow is coming out, which is not the best sign for the overall continuation to the upside, right? So that's why I say, the bounce from here might not be the bounce that we need to get to new all-time highs, but it could give us a little bit of relief here to give us a little wiggle to the upside for potential lower highs and lower lows until we start seeing that money flow switch around, come back into the green. We do have to anticipate lower highs and lower lows as we looked at yesterday, but it is looking shorter time frame, right? 16-hour green dot is going to give you an ebb or flow. Ebb, flow to the upside, right? Not the trend, but just these little ups and downs, right? So you could potentially anticipate a little push up. And then when you look at that 1 hour money flow crossover into the green, which literally just happened right now. Look at that, guys. Live on stream, baby. Live on stream. This could give you the 1 hour continuation of the trend to the upside, right? So the 1 hour money flow indicates the trend. And then the 16-hour could just look like a little ebb or flow to the upside. So that's kind of what I'm looking at, right? And I'll just say this. The key level to hold is the same one that we were looking at yesterday. The tapped weekly, the tapped daily. This was key support on the way down. We melted right through it, had resistance, and now we are attempting to get above this. I do think if we can stay inside here, we can see that continuation up. So what is that different context that we can look at? I'm going to show you a nice clean way to look at this. And if I pull it up over here, right, we do have a previous daily volume profile here, and we were talking about this in the premium Discord, kind of saying like, hey, if we can get above this value area low, and this does look like a very simple volume profile setup here with a bullish divergence down at the low, money flow coming up. Once you get accepted into that volume profile, the fill of that volume profile becomes very, very, very likely most of the time, right? You can call it about 80% probability. This is not a, I'm not telling you just like, not telling you to enter a trade. It's not financial advice, but typically you will see that range fill in full. So it does give us some key levels to look at to the upside. So as long as we're able to stay above, I would say this value area low, and more importantly, the tapped weekly and the tapped daily, we might be able to see that money flow on the 1 hour give us that continuation up into the POC of the range, sitting at about 115,421, and then flip above that POC, we could shoot up into that value area high at about 116,207. So you can get this on your chart, so you kind of have a roadmap. If we do get that continuation up off this money flow crossover into the green, you kind of have an idea of where you can expect price to go next. Very, very, very simple. Value area high, 116,207. Point of control, 115,529, and then you have the value area low sitting down here at about 113,000. Come on. 113, 758, right? So, huge level of resistance to flip into support, guys, because once you get above that 786, I would be anticipating that continuation to the upside. We do have a daily MPOC, a new daily MPOC here from yesterday, or was this from yesterday? Yeah, from yesterday, sitting at about $115,000, right? So there is going to be local resistance on the way up as well. But again, I will pull some Fibonacci retracements here. We might be able to get some confluence on that from the lower high to the low. Let's see, 786 sitting at about 115, 100. So very, very similar situation there. But this will be kind of the overall kind of guide for price, other than the local levels that I'll be looking at. But yeah, we got to get on top of this resistance, guys, because if we cannot do that, right, we might be able to continue that bigger break to the downside. So all eyes on this zone between $114,573 and $114,000. Get on top of that. We might be able to get that push back to the upside. And obviously, as we looked at yesterday, we still have this volume profile sitting up here. Previous volume profile, value area low sitting at 116.3. I'm actually going to go ahead and extend this over to current price action because we're kind of in like some kind of a wonked out range here. 115.7 at that. It's going to be a little bit difficult here, honestly. Like, we're going to have to approach this as price action develops because we do have the anchored VWAP pulled from the all-time high coming in right now at about $117,000. We still have a very, very large level of resistance up here, guys. We have the daily MPOC. We have the daily, the anchored VWAP. It's very hard for me to tell where that anchored VWAP is going to land, depending on, if we come up from here, if we have to bing-bong around more, if we come down. This is all going to affect how that anchored VWAP moves. But right now, it is headed towards that value area low sitting at about 116.3. And then we come back over here. That's right up towards your value area high. And I'll even pull this range over here for you guys so you can kind of see it all on the same chart, right? Just grab that volume profile, pull it over this consolidation, the entire range, right? And you could just see here, value area low, value area high. Definitely a huge level of resistance, right? Because if we're going to come back up and retest the bottom of that range, it might be an area, especially with money flow coming out here, even on the 4-hour, right? Continuing to the downside, unless this is going to be a fake out, right? We need that to be a legitimate fake out. Sometimes when you have a big green wave like this, you can fake out into the into the green very slightly before just continuing the overall trend to the downside. So we'll have to watch that. It's a little bit confusing, but I will keep an eye on it as price action develops and keep you guys updated with the market updates and these live streams as we get more information. But I will just kind of draw this on the same chart for you guys so you can kind of get an idea of like where all that confluence is sitting, right? So you have your value area low sitting right here. Go ahead and mark that out with a horizontal ray. And then you'll pull that anchored VWAP, bada boom, from the all-time high, right? Headed on down there, right? And then if we could start pulling some of these Fibonacci retracements, I'll just pull it from the high to see where this kind of, yeah. So that's nice confluence on the full fib, right? I'm going to pull it to the lower high here. That starts to get pretty close. Let's pull it to this lower high. Yeah, we are going to run into some pretty decent resistance there. And don't forget, you do have the daily and the daily MPOC sitting between 117,678 and 117,407. So just to kind of get that all on the same chart for you guys, right? Like, definitely going to be big resistance up here if we do get that continuation, right? Because if that money flow continues to the downside and we are going to be looking for lower highs and lower lows, this could be an area to look for that to happen, right? And it wouldn't really be until we get inside this volume profile again, flip that POC, where I would start to feel a lot better about price potentially breaking out, because money flow is just simply not pointing towards this being the higher probability situation. It doesn't mean it's impossible, right? But it's not just the 4-hour, right? We also have the 10-hour money flow generally trending to the downside. That 12-hour money flow has finally crossed into the red. This is something we've been keeping an eye on forever. This is continuing down, right? So, of course, the green dot can give us a little bit of a bounce. Again, though, money flow is going to indicate the overall trend. And, this, very simply, money flow coming out would not indicate the trend to just rip to the upside. It would be more pointing towards something like this, lower high, lower low. And whether it comes in here at the value area low, up here at the 786, maybe even up here at the POC, all right, we're going to have to cross that bridge when we get there. Analyze what money flow is looking like up there. Do we have any reasons to enter a short? So obviously I'll keep you guys updated, but that's kind of what I would be looking for, right? Like, even if I was not looking at this local volume profile, I'd probably be looking for a retracement into this value area low zone anyway, right? Because it's like, hey, deviate below the low, right? Could be resistance. Once you break back into it, hold it as support. You can look to go to the POC and potentially the value area high. But with money flow coming out, you just definitely have to be aware of some of these situations for lower highs and lower lows to come. So yeah, my sentiment pretty much remains the same. But at this point, now that we've tapped the daily, now that we have the market cipher B signals on the 1-hour and the 16-hour pointing towards a continuation up, continuation meaning lackluster retracement until proven otherwise, right? Hopefully we just snap to the upside. But again, I have to give you guys the probabilities based off the charts. And right now I'd say the probability is higher of this. If we wind up getting above this, right, and we start flipping that POC, then we can talk about maybe the TA being wrong in that situation, and we can look for that bigger snap to the upside. So yeah, all eyes on this tapped weekly and tapped daily. Are we going to hold it? If we do, I'm definitely going to expect some kind of a move to the upside here into those next key levels. Does that make sense? I want to keep it nice and simple here. On top of that, guys, we do have the daily green dot potentially looking to come in here somewhat soon, as long as we don't get rejected again. This is starting to curve back to the upside, which could give you the green dot eventually, which would be nice to help us with that continuation. So I would say locally right now, that 1 hour money flow crossover with our 16-hour green dot, is that printing yet? Come on. Give me that 16-hour green dot. Not yet, but it is very close. That's about as close as you can get without having a green dot. So hopefully we can get that green dot with the 1 hour money flow, get that continuation up, and then we just got to be careful around here. I would say between about 115.5 leading up to about 116.4. If we creep above that, just understand the 786 is at 117.245. But again, we don't know if you're going to get the rejection here, if you're going to get it here, or if you're going to hit that POC and get down there, right? It has everything to do with analyzing price as you hit into those key levels, right? So there you go. That's what I'm looking at. I'm going to come into chat real quick, guys. And I am going to go into that longer-term analysis here, guys. The health of the bull market is 125K at the top. Again, not my base case, but I want to play a little bit of devil's advocate here because I never just want to give, one sentiment and have people think that, just because I think that, the base case is it's going up, that does not necessarily mean it's going to go up. And I take that stance as well, right? It's just because my base case and the charts are pointing to the upside, I always want to be prepared in case something crazy happens. And I'm just going to play devil's advocate against myself and try to kind of go against that bull case. All right, let's see. Shout out to Marciano. I am still short from higher. Shout out to Marciano. I am also still short from higher. I did lock in a little bit more profits. I got 2K locked in on that. I don't think I'm logged in here. I'll check in a second, but I am still holding that short position. Locked in about 2,000 profit. I have very little of that short running. I think it's $10,000 left in that position. So if we do come up, maybe I'll look to add to that position if we see a lower high scenario for a continuation down. And again, guys, if we do continue down, just understand here, Bitcoin is really going to be coming down to some really key levels. And that's kind of what I'm going to get into when we start looking at kind of the macro health of the bull market here. Are we going into new all-time highs? Could we see a bear market come in? I'll kind of show you guys, it's the same key levels we've been looking at, but I'm going to bring up a new chart and kind of show you guys, the bearish case, right? Again, not my base case, but we'll cover it for you. All right, let's see. Yo, shout out to Simano, said it's past midnight. Please, ETH, I need to go. I need to get off soon. Shout out to Simano. Yes, I will take a look at Ethereum. But before we cover the longer-term case here, guys, I will just say, obviously, from a trading standpoint, if we do continue to the downside, I'll give you some of these local levels I will be watching. Let's just assume whether we get the rejection from here, we can't claim this as support, or we come up for the lower high and the lower low. The next biggest level to look at, in my opinion, is going to be about $111,000, where we have this daily MPOC. I will be looking for bounces here. But again, based off money flow, we do have to be careful for the lower highs and lower lows. But $111,000, we do have this daily MPOC. So make sure you have this on your chart. 110,937 to be exact. And then, once we start losing that, right? And, why are we even paying attention to a potential break of this low? Has to do with the macro Fibonacci rejection that we got, right? Pulled from the high to the low, right? On the weekly, we did get the close below that golden pocket 786, right? So this does, high, lower low could be anticipated. And just from a technical perspective, $111,000 going to be that next level of support. If we have to break that, guys, this is where things get a little bit sticky, right? I don't want to say I'm once we break this, it's the bear market, but you really start to come into some really, really, really key levels of support that we do not want to break in plain English, right? And again, all the bullish cases, all the bullish signals that we've looked at in the past, Bitcoin dominance coming down, Ethereum's weekly money flow coming up, ETH looks really strong. It's I wouldn't necessarily expect, we'll take a little jump into Ethereum just straight from here. I wouldn't necessarily expect, this is 100% a bullish chart here, guys. There's nothing about this dump to the downside that's oh my God, the top is in. It's the same thing for Bitcoin, right? There's nothing about this dump in particular that is oh my God, the top could be in. But when we start to approach some of these bigger levels to the downside, it starts to get a little bit worrisome, right? I always bring this up from back in 2021. I feel I felt like I was alone on an island, kind of looking at the possibility of this breaking down into the bear market. Got a lot of hate for this, right? But we wound up being right, which is always going to be the better case, right? Because people wound up being hey, man, I hated on you for calling that, but you wound up saving me a ton of money. And I was dang, you hated on me, and you also took the information into account? Whew, crazy. But it was not really like getting the rejection here is not just like, oh my God, bear market. Calling the tippy top like this is very difficult. A lot of people will just call the top, right? Every time you get a rejection, like that's it, it's the top. 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 That's it, it's the top, right? And eventually they will be right. But it's very difficult from a legitimate standpoint to just say like, okay, this is definitely going to be the top, right? You can have your assumptions, but for me personally, the way I was able to say that, once we got down here, it was very likely the top was in, had to do a lot with, we had the big drop to the downside. We started creating this, some form of a bear flag, right? And we also had the weekly money flow coming to the downside. And, once you get that drop and you start bearishly consolidating like this, the only thing I can see from an analyst standpoint or a trading standpoint is, hey, massive weekly bearish divergence, money flow trending to the downside. And at that point, as this money flow is trending down, what is the higher probability scenario? Well, you're going to be looking for what? Lower highs and lower lows. You're not looking, if you wanted a massive breakout here to 100K, you really wanted money flow on the weekly to be thick in the green. It just simply wasn't the case, right? Now, could it have just snapped to the upside? Sure, right? But the probability was much higher that the top was in and the bear market was on its way. We also had the weekly blood diamond. I actually drew this before, didn't mention it. We had the weekly blood diamond up here as well, which is like another chef's kiss for like, hey, much bigger move to the downside incoming. It was actually the first weekly blood diamond we had ever seen here on the weekly chart. But what is the point I'm trying to make here is I didn't call the top right here, right? You could do that if you just call the top constantly. Eventually you'd be right. But it's not until you get the drop to the downside, you get a little bit of consolidation. It's not until a little bit of time passes where you're like, okay, now I can see there's actual weakness in the market. And I'm going to be looking for lower highs and lower lows. Where would I be looking? Well, I would be looking at the full Fibonacci retracement as well as the local Fibonacci retracement pulled from the lower high to the lower low, right? And we didn't get all the way up to that full retracement level, but we wound up projecting that beautifully in that golden pocket 786 retracement. So I'm going to get more into this, but just to kind of show that, right? It's very hard to call the top, and this is why I'm saying, there's nothing really super alarming up here. Sure, we have a weekly bear div, which is very similar to this, but not every weekly bear div is created equal, right? We had a weekly bearish divergence here. Sure, it was a massive drop down, but we did put in the higher high. But this was a different point in the market, right? Shout out to whoever said this in the chat. We are nearing, right, around where the bull market starts to teeter out here, right? We are getting into that timing window where, the top does typically is either in or it comes in very shortly after. And I'll bring this up and break it all down for you guys on the bigger chart that I have made for you. But just to kind of show that, right? That's why I'm not saying oh my God, top is guaranteed in. It's very hard to call that here. We have to wait for some kind of, some kind of development here, right? To give money flow a chance to move and give us some clearer signals. And then at that point, it's pretty much the kind of deal there is you got to be very careful of the lackluster retracements for macro lower highs for massive lower lows. And again, this is not my base case, right? This is I'm playing devil's advocate against my base case. So there you go. And we'll break that down in just a minute. But, a lot of bullish things, right? This is kind of why it's difficult because I would never say, right, when we look at Ethereum here, I mean, this is just bullish, right? Ethereum starts to move. We have some other bigger altcoins moving, right? This is typically very good for the market, especially the altcoin market. And, I would never say that, I just think it's very unlikely here that, you get back up to a previous all-time high on ETH and absolutely just nuke it to the downside into a full-blown bear market. So this still looks really good, right? We have dominance. Taking a look at dominance, right? Just continuing to kind of get rejected here at that value area low. This is just a waiting game here. Are we going to get that play in here before the eventual breakdown? Are we going to get it earlier? Money flow, this definitely looks weak, right? That's a binary, logical, information-based call here. This looks bearish based off the charts. Doesn't mean it has to play out like that. But again, the TA is right more than it's wrong. So, you still have the dominance coming down. They're definitely bullish for altcoins. You have Ethereum's weekly money flow just starting to crack into the green. This is obviously longer-term bullish for Ethereum. So you could easily get some bigger retracements before it bounces to the upside. I just want to make sure that I'm clear about my base case here is bullish, that alt season can very well still come in, right? There is nothing really saying that it's instantly canceled from here. But again, we'll cover those deeper levels. But taking a look at Ethereum here real quick because Simano's got to go to bed. Let's go ahead and jump in here real quick. I'll just take a look at this local volume profile that we looked at yesterday where we talked about the rejection back into this range. Couldn't break out of that value area. Got the move down. The next likely place for price to go is going to be that point of control. And you can see here right after the stream ended, we did wind up finally making it down to that POC before starting to get a little bit of a bounce here. I would say the local levels here on ETH do remain the same. This was kind of the bigger zone of support that we were looking at between the POC and the value area low. And this is also confluent with that 786, the macro 786, pulled from the bull market high in 2021 all the way to the bear market low. So definitely a huge level of support to hold here. If we lose this, you could still go for some, I'll be honest, like, it wouldn't be the most beautiful thing to break back down into our macro volume profile here, but let me pull up a lower time frame here, right? So you can see 786 is sitting down here as well. This is the same box that I just brought up on this chart, right? Same box. So, this is a huge level to hold locally, I would say, right? If you wind up losing this, ideally, you don't want to break back down below this value area high, medium term, right? You could fake out the 786, come back down here. This is a huge level of support for Ethereum sitting at 5430. I'm sorry, 5430. Good Lord. 3530, sitting at that previous value area high. We also have a daily MPOC down there. So, you might just kind of range around. It might be confusing. It might be, a little bit difficult to navigate. And we still do have some much bigger levels of support down here. But to be quite honest, like, I don't really want to deal with this, guys, because once you break back down into this range, it gets very difficult whether you should be looking for lower highs and lower lows, or if you should be looking for the macro higher low for the massive higher high. And again, my base case is that ETH will hit an all-time high. Not financial advice, right? That's my base case. Looking up towards about, $5,800 into about, we got 58 up to about, 6,500. If we are able to put in that new all-time high, it's be a big level to look at for Ethereum personally for me. And you can check out my ETH price prediction video if you guys want like a full breakdown on what I'll be looking at. But, I would just say, I'm just going to give you the local levels here, because I'm going to cover the macro on Bitcoin, which will obviously follow along with Ethereum. So yeah, I would say if you continue down from here, right, money flow coming to the downside here on the 12-hour, you could get the continued bounce here off the green dot. But as long as this money flow is continuing down, also on the 4-hour time frame, yeah, see, ETH, you fake back out into the green, but you do have to be careful here, guys. We talk about this all the time. We've spent a lot of time in the green. We even got to fake out into the red and back into the green here. So I would still be careful here of this trend just generally continuing to the downside. So you can be on lower high watch for lower lows. And then, also taking a look at the higher time frames, 12-hour money flow is continuing down. So, that could indicate that fake out on the 4-hour. Back when we had this 4-hour fake out on ETH, right about here, I'll put a vertical line, right? You look at the 12-hour money flow at this point, and it's like, well, hey, we're still pretty thick in the green, right? At this point, we're approaching that zero line, which does make me cautious of those lower highs and lower lows. But these are definitely the key levels. POC still sitting at 4,079. Value area low sitting at 3937. And then if we break down below that value area low, I will be looking at the biggest key level of support. It's not that you can't bounce off these range highs, but the biggest key level I'll be looking at is 3530. And I covered this yesterday on the live stream. We saw Bitcoin pretty much do a very similar thing when it approached its 786 pull from the high to the low. We came up, we filled our macro profile. We came up, we filled our macro profile. You get the breakout of the volume profile. You flip it to support. You break back out. You get above that 786, which is the doorway to higher prices or all-time highs in this case. I know we put in a little bit of an all-time high here, but let's just pretend that didn't happen for argument's sake, right? You get above that 786. You get the bounce. You play around, and you even came down to retest that range high. That's why, right? If we see something similar on Ethereum, right, maybe you kind of bing-bong around here. You break out. You lose the 786. Maybe we come down, bada boom, bada bing, right? And then you retest that value area high. That's why this is such a key level of support, right? I want to be very clear. This is almost exactly what we saw Bitcoin do before it went off into its massive bull market, right? Into massive new all-time highs. And this is all bullish. You might be saying, like, Frankie, why are you even covering the bearish case? Well, because you have to play devil's advocate, and I hope I'm a prime example of this, guys. There's no one out there, I promise you this, not me, no one else can tell you that what is guaranteed going to happen in this market. You have to be aware of this stuff. And although there's nothing like super alarming just yet, I would say there's more bullish signs than bearish signs, which is why my base case is for moves to the upside. But you have to be prepared in the other direction as well. The market's not always going to give you exactly what you want. So those are the key levels on Ethereum. And again, weekly red dot is printing. It's like about to print here, right? So, I would be potentially anticipating more pushes to the downside. But until this money flow comes back into the red, we have to be looking at it as macro higher lows for higher highs. And you might say to yourself, Frankie, I'm confused. You just said we have to be on lower high watch. These are the lower time frames, right? Looking at the 4-hour, right? If this money flow comes out, you have to look for local lower highs and lower lows, right? But that might just be indicating the trend down to put in the macro higher low for the higher high, right? So that's what I'm looking at on Ethereum. Again, nothing has really changed here other than the local levels here. So just keep this volume profile on your chart. Lose this down to 3530 is going to be the next big level of support. We start breaking in here. I mean, there's support down below, guys. There's support down below, but I would hate to break this like beautiful, beautiful uptrend that we're in. Like this is just so clean. If we break down below here, we're starting to crack the market structure. So we'll cross that bridge if and when we have to get there, but you still have plenty of levels down below to keep you busy before we lose that value area high. 35.30, massive, massive level of support to watch. And again, just compare it to the Bitcoins, right? Still scary, right? It wasn't like you bounce and then you rip, right? You bounce, you come back, oh my God, it's all over, right? So yeah, keep that in mind, right? And this will be good for the overall altcoin market, right? Dominance is coming down, that all lines up. So, my base case does remain the same. So that's what I'm looking at on Ethereum. Let me come into chat real quick. Shout out to Vegas Claw, bro. Bro, the fondle hand is absolutely diabolical. That should be banned in every country. What is that hand? It's just like that's what a fondle is, guys. This is a fondle. Yeah, it's not this. You have to touch from underneath. And he's touching blueberries there. Shout out to Blueberry Belly. Anyway, let's continue on here. Let's see. And on top of that, guys, before I cover the bearish case here, I will just say, now, on top of all this stuff we just looked at on Ethereum in the bullish manner, right? We also have some of the other bigger altcoins, like things such as like BNB. Oftentimes, guys, we talked about this recently. Oftentimes, you will see that the exchange tokens are some of the first to rip, right? And I kind of explained in my market update why that is the case. But this is, I don't know. There's a lot of signs, right, that we could see these continuations up. ETH pushes into new all-time highs. Like, my base case is, like, I'm for sure saying that is the likely case. And I have to, like, super preface that, right? Because when I start talking about the bearish case, people will be like, wait, the top is in? And it's like, no, context is important, right? Just playing devil's advocate here. But, you got BNB pushing up here. Like, I'm pretty sure it's a new all-time high. Like, yeah, like BNB absolutely screaming here. Someone just said Link is on the run. It's, you start to see some of these bigger guys pushing up, right? And, this is, again, just like more on the bullish scenario here. I would say BNB is more of like a long-term kind of bullish signal. Link here is pretty much just pushing into its Fibonacci retracements. So a little bit less exciting here. I know this is a pretty nice rip to the upside. And, volume profiles will change your life, guys. Absolutely change your life. You get above the value area low. You flip it to support. This is also confluent with our... I'll just keep it here on a higher time frame. Also confluent with this, actually, no, this is a new key level of support, but you break above that value area low. Once you approach it, right, resistance, once you flip it to support, that is the high probability scenario where you can see that volume profile fill at least to that POC of the range. And you do have a decent bit of resistance here. Not only do you have the point of control, you also have the golden pocket 786. So you are approaching resistance, but from a volume profile perspective here, you would look for that range to fill in full as long as you don't get that lower high here on the 786. You flip that POC, we're looking up towards about $31, right, for Chainlink, right? And, we looked at this from a Fibonacci standpoint with our low, high, higher low, holding that 786 barely. It does call for a potential break of structure to the upside here into that value area high and potentially beyond. So it does make sense. You have the volume profile pointing towards that. You have the potential higher low here on the 786 pointing towards that. And if you were to just get a harsh rejection from here and push back down to the bottom of the range, value area low is your biggest key level of support at about $17, right? About $16.88, and that is confluent with your... Make sure I have that pulled to the high here. Yeah. The golden pocket also confluent with that value area low at $17, right? 17 to, call it 16.37. 786 sits here at about 14.28. Don't really want to lose that 786, but we're pretty far away at this point, right? So those are the key levels to look at. Your POC sits at 27.09, and then your value area high sits here at about $31, $32. So yeah, not too bad. Looking at the daily here, we are... Yeah, oh, God. Money flow cooking to the upside here on Chainlink. Not too shabby. Potential daily bearish divergence, but, your VWAP, you can barely see it here. Cracked below the zero line. Might be able to print that green dot. Might be a little bit of a VWAP flip situation where you get the red dot and the instant green dot. And money flow here would be anticipating higher lows and higher highs. This is not going to be the case on every single altcoin, right? But not looking too bad here. Just be very careful. You are tapping into very key resistance. So there you go. Shout out to Baby Genius said, oh my God, I'm late. Like, oh my God, Becky. Oh my God, Becky. Can we get that? Can we get me saying, oh my God, Becky on the soundboard? That would be sick. Bitcoin hits a new all-time high. Oh my God, Becky. Shout out to Baby Genius. Welcome in, bro. Thank you for being here. Let's see. Senor Wick, 589 in the chat. What is going on, man? Welcome in. Said Darren, how's the money? Shout out to Wick 589. Hopefully the money is good. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so I will take a look at a few more altcoins, guys, but before we do that, I do want to cover that kind of devil's advocate with Bitcoin, right? Before I do this, my base case is higher. Be very clear about that. If you're just tuning in, my base case is higher. This is the lower probability situation in my opinion, but I have to cover the devil's advocate flip side of the coin. So let's pull up this higher time frame chart that we have here. Actually, bada boom. What is good here? Macro. Where's my cycle chart? There it is. Okay, so here we are. Very, very, very important levels here, guys. And, as I've talked about many times, even on, recent live streams, the biggest key level of support here below us, guys, is going to be, and I'm actually just going to draw it fresh here on this chart just to make it, I already drew it, just to make it a little less confusing for you guys. We have the 110 to, I would say, $107,000 level. This is a huge level of support, right? Because if we're going to get that initial breakout, we're going to kind of chop around here. Hopefully, we don't have to deal with this. But if we do wind up breaking that low off of the macro rejection of that golden pocket 786, put in the lower low, huge level of support here, guys. We really want to hold this. And I'm going to show you the, don't get scared, guys. But it's very important. Value area high, also somewhat confluent with your structural range highs here. Golden pocket. We also have a bunch of daily MPOCs in here. And I can see a situation where coming down here, putting in a higher low before finally pushing into that last parabola to the upside, targeting, between $130 and maybe $137,000. If we could break above that, we'll look at higher targets, right? But for now, we'll look between about 130 and 137. This is a huge level, right? Again, this really does sit between about $110 and $107,000. Golden pocket, MPOCs, point of control of the range, and your value area high. Huge, huge, huge zone to bounce off of. And we've also covered many a times, if we break below this level, we don't really want to deal with this value area low. This is also your 786 Fibonacci retracement. Once we get down into these levels, guys, Bitcoin has got to drink a cup of coffee and get going. And I'm not here to cause fear. If you're feeling scared, my base case is still all-time highs. Alt season is coming, right? Many more things pointing towards that than towards this. But if we do not get going here at this level, bear market potential, in my opinion, right? This is kind of the lowest I would like this retracement to go, into that 786. Once we lose that 786, the anticipation would be the break of structure to the downside at about $98,000, which would push us into the macro POC that we have all the way back here. And I will make a pre-recorded video, guys, just covering the bearish case. And I'll have to say a million times that it's not my base case. We have the POC sitting here. I have this pulled a little bit differently here. The POC that I'm looking at, I'll just bring it up over here. Hide the daily and the weekly levels, the daily MPOCs. I'll hide the current range. I'll just hide all this stuff, right? And then I'll pull up that macro volume profile. Where's it sitting? Right here, right? If you're going to be looking for that break of structure to the downside, right? And this is why I say you must get going very, very aggressively off this 786, guys. You break back down below that 786, you have an opportunity to get accepted into the range and start pushing down towards $96,000 to $97,000. At that point, right, you have to think about what your high time frame money flow is going to look like, right? And maybe it's coming up, right? Maybe you come down here and maybe we get some kind of black swan. It pushes us down. It's a fake out before we get the big rip to the upside. We kind of covered that case yesterday. But if we have weekly money flow coming out here, guys, what are we going to have? We're going to have weekly money flow coming to the downside. We're going to have the weekly bearish divergences printing and a potential monthly bearish divergence printing. Higher highs on price action, lower highs on our momentum waves, right? At that point, if your weekly money flow is tanking to the downside, looking to cross over into the red like it did in 2021, right? You have the weekly bear div, the drop to the downside, right? You start breaking key levels. You start to bearishly consolidate. And again, maybe we don't get the bearish consolidation. Maybe it looks really good. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I want to really show you the importance of losing that 104,000, 103,779, right? You lose this. This could potentially send you not only down to 97K, but potentially 90K. Is this a place where you can hold potentially? But at that point, if money flow is coming down, if we get this bigger bearish correction to the downside, if that weekly money flow is cooking to the downside, looking to cross over into the red, I'm going to have to say it, that the higher probability is that the top is in on Bitcoin. And at that point, right, what am I going to do? I'm going to do the same thing I did in 2021. Right? I'm going to be looking for lackluster retracements to the upside for macro lower highs because this is weekly money flow. This weekly money flow coming out indicates bear market every single time we've seen it. right? So at that point, it's like, well, hey, could this have been, let me see where this golden pocket was. Yeah, like could this have been a 786 for a low, high, higher low, and then higher high? Sure. But what is your money flow doing? Your money flow is coming out. So if you want a massive rip to the upside, you want your money flow thick in the green. It was not the case back here. So if we get into that same situation, just preparing you guys, if we come down here, it's not impossible if the money flow still looks good to get the higher low and the higher high because we still have macro Fibonacci retracements down there. But at that point, I would have to say it's the less likely situation, right? I would have to say that chances of bouncing here would be much more likely to put in lower highs and lower lows, potentially leading to a bear market. This is the less likely situation. This is not my base case. I do not think this is... shout out to Tony D. Thank you for that, brother. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the time check. I have some stuff I have to take care of today, guys. I wasn't going to say short stream in the early in the beginning of the video because we all know how that usually goes. But thank you for that, Tony. I appreciate you, bro. But you have to think this through, right? You get that move down. If this money flow is coming out, just be aware, right? Like it's much easier to say at that point, money flow coming out, like and there will be chances here, hopefully, right? Like there will be chances to get bounces to the upside, lower highs and lower lows on those retracements, right? I'm starting to look at like, is it time to maybe, get out here, right? And again, I'll be here every step of the way, and hopefully we don't have to deal with that. The higher probability situation is this, in my opinion. As of right now, this is 100% the higher probability situation, right? So just understand, like nothing is really broken just yet. But, as I look at this chart, and we talk about this key level at about $104,000, 103,777. There's a reason why I say this is a gigantic line in the sand. And sure, you might say, it has to do with the volume profile down below. Yes, this can bring us down to the macro value area low. We have key support down there, but it's all going to depend. If we get down there and money flow looks good, I will be looking for something like that. But if money flow is coming out, guys, like you don't want to lose this level. Bottom line, right? That 786 is absolutely massive. And then, once you lose that, these bounces are really... lower highs and lower lows based off weekly money flow if it's coming out, right? Which I would say is probably pretty high probability. If you get a massive drop, to 90K, right? It's a 27% correction, which is not impossible, right? We've seen the 30% corrections in the bull market, but we're in a different spot in the cycle at this point, guys. And I love that someone brought this up. Let me just pull this up for you guys really quickly. Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? We are at this point, right, where, we've had a lot of time since the halving. And these are all measurements from how long it took from the halving to the all-time high, right? And this also very much lines up with our fib time levels that we looked at, right? Where's it at? Trend-based fib time. That 1-to-1 fib that we have is at about October 20th, right? And this all makes sense because this is pretty much how fib time works. But, all these distances that I have up here, right? This is from the cycles halvings to the all-time highs, right? So back here, 364 days from the halving to the high. Up here, 525 days from the halving to the high. Up here, we had 336 days to the high and then 546 days to the high. Right now, guys, we are currently, the all-time high currently has come in at 476 days. We are very close to the timing, right? If you're looking at the 4-year cycle, we are very close to the timing of how long we see bull markets play out, at least from the halving, right? And these obviously would be very similar if you're measuring from the bottom. We're getting to that point, right, where it's like, I would say there is still time, right? We still have this one all the way out at 525 days, right? So you still have some time, right? Like, but we really got to start getting going, especially if we go for that bigger retracement. Like, you got to get going there, right? So I just wanted to bring this to your attention because it's very hard to call the tippy top. And all we can do is take all of our information, put it together, and go with the higher probability case, which in my opinion is going to be for a new all-time high to come in. If you look at the macroeconomics, you look at the dominance, you look at ETH, you look at stuff like BNB breaking out, this is all signs that you could be entering that final phase of the bull market. But it's not that we're just going to remain bullish forever, right? So one day, if we come up here and we're at that 90K level, that 97K level, and the weekly money flow is looking bad, this is how you have to flip-flop in the market, right? The market's not always going to give you what you want or even give you the highest probability case. High probability does not necessarily mean 100% likely. So my base case, all-time highs, alt season is coming. There's a lot of informational data-based reasons to expect that. I think that's the highest probability situation as of right now. But if we see these key levels break, it could change very, very fast. And I will keep you guys updated every single step of the way. So and if we do get down there and money flow looks good, I'll be like, hey guys, I know we're at the level, but just, be aware, money flow still looks good. But if it does not look good, guys, this is where you have to flop. If you see people calling for guaranteed all-time highs or guaranteed bear market, be very careful. There's no way to know that. This is how you have to predict it. You have to see your key levels and then analyze the information as it develops and then change your strategies as the market changes. You have to you have to ride the wave. I'll say this, even in trading, guys, the biggest one of the biggest, aha moments I had in my day trading and even in investing is ride the wave. Don't just come in here and try to get rich overnight or come in here and wait for that price target to get hit. There is no guarantee that you're going to see those price targets get hit. The market does not care about your feelings. The market does not care about your price targets. And this is why I always say when we look at the all-time high predictions, which as you guys know, for Bitcoin, right, if we do go into all-time highs, right, the next major target is going to be sitting at about $130,000 to $137,000, right? We've already come into our first bull market target right here. We got that bull market correction, but did it make sense for this to be the bear market? Not in my opinion. Based off the cycle, we had plenty of time to come up and make a new all-time high. We didn't get rate cuts. We had no alt season. And, it was just a very high probability, very, in my opinion, very easy and simple to say this is very likely not the bear market. High probability outcome, and we got that to play out. But as we creep into these later days, right, you have to start thinking to yourself, like, is this time going to be different? Maybe it is, but you have to start thinking about that, and I do still think the highest probability is here that we could push up into some of these next targets between about 130 to 137K, and then if we get up there and things look great, we can look up towards 150. If things look great after that, maybe we get corrections. If it still looks good, we can look up towards 200, right? But for me personally, it's not, just understand it's not possible for the top to be in here. Nobody thought it was the top back here. If you were here, you're like, a lot of people were not, everyone up. And that kind of leads me to, another reason why my base case is bullish here. What is happening here? Everybody, up only, golden super cycle, never going down, $1 million by 2025. Oh my God, JP Morgan says 500K by the end of the year, right? Everything is just super bullish up here. We don't have that. We didn't get the euphoria. Someone said that in the chat, like we don't have the euphoria. That's usually when we end. It's 100% correct. We don't have the euphoria, right? I would say we have more of a pessimistic sentiment based off of, what we see here. So many reasons to not think that that's the bear market's a higher probability case, but, no one's going to know that 100%, and I just want you guys to be aware. We start breaking those key levels. So when you start looking at your chart, you're looking for your trades, like when we say this is a huge level of support, like there's a big reason for that, right? So even if we had to come on down here, you really want to start getting going off this value area high. You get accepted in here, that's where you start to be in the case where you could be starting to look potentially for lower highs and lower lows if money flow is coming out. If this, then that. If we come down here and money flow looks great, well, we can look for a bigger bounce. But I would assume if we do come down here, right, if we lose that 786, start cracking to 97 to 90K, that money flow is probably tanking to the downside pretty aggressively, right? And at the end of the day, you do have that monthly bearish divergence. You do have the weekly bearish divergence. And you might say, well, Frankie, you just said they're not all created equal. They're not, right? But back here, the weekly bearish divergence, number one, was not that strong, right? It was kind of like almost an exaggerated bearish divergence. Right? You have like a slightly lower high, but also from a timing perspective, it didn't make sense for the top to come in here, right? In my opinion, right? But now you start to creep into those later dates. You have like enough time for that full bull market to play out. Every new weekly bear div or high time frame bearish divergence you put in gets a little bit more risky and a little bit more risky. So there you go. That's me playing devil's advocate with myself. Again, if you just tuned in, you're like, oh my God, bear market, what? That's not my base case, right? I'm playing devil's advocate against what I believe is going to happen. But I can't promise that what I think is going to happen is the thing that's going to happen. And you might think to yourself, well, if you're wrong, aren't you going to get wrecked? Absolutely not. Why? Why? Because I'm going to shift my plan if we see a loss here, right? I will be looking to scale out of positions, assuming that things look bad, right? What are altcoins doing as we push up? What is the macroeconomic environment as we push up? Are the rate cuts coming in? What the heck is the deal? So it's not just as easy as like once you lose the 786, it's the bear market, but it's really where you have to start, paying attention to those higher time frames and trying to anticipate. Again, you could just go back here and try to like look at what was happening here when we were putting the top in, right? Very hard to say this is the all-time high, right? Very easy, or a little bit easier, I should say. It's still not easy, but a lot easier to see this big drop down, bearish consolidation, weekly money flow coming out. And it's the same thing I look at on the 5-minute chart for scalps, right? It's like, what do I have here? If I'm looking for a massive bounce, I need money flow coming up. If that's not the case, which it wasn't, you anticipate lower highs and lower lows. And these Fibonacci retracements will really, really mark these lower highs and lower lows. You didn't get to the full fib, but what happens? You pull to the lower high, and you reject off that low, like directly from that golden pocket 786. High, low, lower high, money flow coming out, weekly red dot, weekly blood diamond was up here as well, right? Lower lows and into the bear market. And you had enough time for the bull market to play out, so it was very, simple to kind of anticipate that, right? If you don't know anything about TA and you have Market Cipher, you could just look at that weekly money flow and say, once that weekly money flow crosses over into the red, you're probably going into the bear market. This has been the case every single time. Right here, we got that big drop, kind of consolidated for like what felt like forever. Money flow crosses into the red, 50%, 55% rip to the downside into the bear market. Back here, money flow in the green, you start coming down, weekly money flow crosses into the red, massive bear market. So just be aware of it, right? Again, not my base case. I'll say it again for the 15th time, probably 50th time. Not my base case, but got to play devil's advocate, and now you guys know exactly what to look for. So there we go. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Nico says, Frankie all in on Arrow? Shout out to Nico. Are you asking me if I'm all in on Arrow, or are you asking if you should go all in on Arrow? I'm not all in on Arrow. I do own some. But let's see. Shout out to Chicken Salt. Is chicken salt a thing? Like chicken-flavored salt? Shout out to Chicken Salt. Says, good morning from Kiwi Land. Shout out to Chicken Salt. What is Kiwi Land? Let us know. Let's see. All right, let me just make sure I know. Yo, shout out to Golden. Hang on one second, guys. Did he super chat? Yo, shout out to Golden. Thank you for the super chat. He says, reigning memberships, no way. You guys know he's not lying. And he probably will send me photo proof at some point. Says, reigning memberships from 43,500 feet. Check your Discord, Frankie. Shout out to Golden. And you guys know if he's flying at 43,500 feet, you're in a PJ, because I think that's above where commercial airliners fly. So shout out to Golden, rating those memberships from the private jet. Let's go. Let's go. Shout out to Golden. Little late on that. Sorry about that, Golden. Drop those golden emojis in the chat if you appreciate those free memberships, and drop that golden emoji. We'll now have access if you got a membership. 100 memberships. Shout out to Golden. Just imagine that, guys. Just sitting in the private jet, kicked back, just raining memberships on the Mafia. What a guy. Shout out to Golden. We love you, bro. And another super chat from him says, it's not golden showers, it's golden rain from 43,000 feet. Let's go. Shout out to Golden, bro. Guys, am I going to lie? He's actually on a private jet. I could confirm that 100%. I can't confirm it 100%, but I would bet my life he's actually on the private jet. Golden is legit. Golden is legit. Shout out to you, bro. Thank you so much. I don't know what to say, bro. You help us out so much. You support the channel. You support us. You support the Mafia. Unbelievable. Well, hey, bro. Hopefully you're drinking some nice champagne up there, eating caviar. Where are you going, bro? Where are you going? Are you going to race cars? Let us know. Shout out to Jack. Thank you for the $10 super sticker. Let's go. Shout out to Jack. I appreciate you so much, bro. All right, let's see. There's that golden waterfall, baby. Let him go, baby. Let him go. All right, let's see. Is there a shout out to Cryptopian said, is there a chance BTC decides to break out here and catch everyone off guard? Shout out to Kryptonian. I hope so, right? Like, as we covered the local price action earlier, right, that key level of support, which it does look like we're trying to hold here. Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? Let me pull up the Bybit chart. Oh, that is the Bybit chart. We have the weekly and the tap daily. Like, this is the key level, guys. We just back tested it. I would say this is where the move up would likely start, right? This is the key level to flip to support. Resistance, resistance, resistance. Super, super choppy day. Resistance, back below, back above. We are attempting to flip this to support. So literally what we just talked about in the beginning of the live stream could be coming to fruition right now. Hold above this tapped weekly and tap daily. That is the biggest resistance holding us back. This is the doorway to send us back to higher prices, right? Now, again, I wouldn't say all-time highs. Again, money flow generally trending to the downside. I would hope that this 4-hour money flow fakes out and just sends it from here. I think that is possible, right? But we just have to be careful of the lower highs and lower lows based off our higher time frame money flow. But I would say short-term, right, 12-hour green dot, 10-hour green dot confirmed. 16-hour green dot's got to be printing. Not yet. But really the signal here is the 16-hour green dot with the 1-hour money flow crossover into the green. Even if you see a little more turbulence, hold above this, get that money flow to cross into the green. You might see that continuation up that we looked at in the beginning of the show. So yeah, I mean, if you just tuned in, scrub back to the beginning of the stream, you'll find all the key levels that we'll be looking at for potential lower highs and lower lows, and the key level that if we flip, we could look for new all-time highs. And again, you know, I would hope that's the case, right? Again, just because we went over that bear market scenario, that is still the less likely situation. So there you go. Even if we put in lower highs and lower lows, right? We're hoping for something like this: lower high, lower low into 111, or, you know, worst case scenario, down here before a bigger higher low, higher high, and higher low and higher high. It's not until, right? You don't even have to start thinking about bear market territory, right, until we lose about $104,000. So there you go. Definitely a possibility. What's Bitcoin dominance looking like? We could take a look at Bitcoin dominance really quickly here. Bitcoin dominance is, well, let me pull it up on the alt chart here because this is where we have the TA, right? Bitcoin dominance pushing down here, right? We took a look. I mean, hey, we had the 2-day bullish divergence printing here or confirmed here, but look at that money flow, right? This still looks weak, right? Again, bullish, especially for alt season, right? 2-day money flow comes out. That is, you know, you can't argue that, right? Like last massive 2-day money flow, like in a similar situation that we had, 2-day money flow crossover into the red, right? Come back down to the POC, bing bong around, 2-day money flow crosses into the red. You still get some bing bongs, right? But eventually that 2-day money flow is correct in calling for the bigger drop to the downside. Very, very similar situation. Very, very similar, right? And this is why my base case is bullish, right? There's much more bullish puzzle pieces than bearish puzzle pieces. Let's see. Oh, yo, shout out to Golden, said, thank you for the super chat, bro. He says, check your DMs in Discord now. I'm stopping to pick up the boys on the way to Germany to race some cars this week. Yo, shout out to Golden. I knew it. I knew it. He said, I invited you and Tony. I hope you two can make it next year. Much love. Shout out to Golden, bro. We are going to be, I'll be right next to you, bro, in I don't know, some Beamer or GT3 RS or something. We're coming, bro. We're going to make it. We're going to make it next year. But yeah, let me see if I can pull this up real quick. I'm going to pull up my face cam because I don't know, I don't want to share any private stuff here. Let's see here. Oh, my God. Golden, question. Can I share the pictures? Do you mind if I share some of these pictures of the P chase? Is crazy, bro. This is, guys, it's not even, I like planes. I'm like kind of like a plane geek. But this is not the, this is like, these are the nice, this is the, yeah, like this is the big boy private jet. This is crazy. Bro, you have this jet for yourself? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to assume it's like 8 to 10 seater. That's crazy, bro. It's so nice. Oh, my God. Golden, let me know in the chat if I could share these pictures. He's not lying, guys. And I'm not going to share any pictures of him or anything. Oh, he's not in them. But let me know, bro. Let me know if I can share these. I'm gonna pull them up in case you want me to share them. I will not share them, though, if you don't want me to. That's pretty wild. He said, do it. All right. So here we are, guys. Golden, you are out of control, bro. This is Golden. Who are you? Who are you, Golden? Well, here's the PJ, guys. This man, he's on the nice one. This is like the crazy private jet. Bro, Golden, can you send a picture of the stream? That'd be lit. That would seal the kit, because I'm sure a lot of people out there are like, you could just Google a picture of a private jet. I know personally that he's not lying. I've seen actual pictures of him watching the live stream from the jet. But there you go. Crazy jet, bro. Crazy. Dude, that's wild, man. It's like the nice one. Is that a G6? Shout out to Golden. Baller. Talk about baller, bro. Insane. Shout out to Jessica, said, ask me. I tell you no lies. Shout out to Jessica. Insane. Yo, this is wild, bro. Golden, let me know if you send a picture of the stream, send it in the Discord, and I will show it. That is crazy, bro. Well, there you go, guys. You wonder how Golden gets so many memberships. There's the reason. He said, hang on. All right, I'm waiting for it. But there you go, guys. Bitcoin dominance, looking for the breakdown here. Even though it pushes to the upside, I would still say, right, maybe some more turbulence. But at the end of the day, that turbulence, money flow indicates the longer-term trend, 100%. And that would be pointing towards a potential alt season incoming. So there you go. Hopefully I didn't scare everybody with, playing devil's advocate. I'm going against my bias there. Shout out to MK. MK Rose says, Tech support on a PJ is wild. Shout out to Crypto Billy. Said, I've met him, had dinner with him. He's the real deal. Yeah. He's as real as it gets. Let's see. SoFly. Oh, my God. Shout out to Baby Genius. No feet pics? Boring. Shout out to P-Dub. Unbelievable. It's a G650. Good Lord, man. I don't know where you're flying from. I would try to predict the price of that. Probably expensive, if I had to guess. Let's see. Shout out to Golden Child. Said, yet he can't seem to come up with child support. Shout out to Golden Child. If you guys don't know, that's Golden's abandoned kid. All right, let's see. Shout out to Giga Longbottom. Said, Frankie, they're saying you used to be the baby from the Teletubbies, the one that was like the son. I can't confirm nor deny. I used to be a child actor, but I can't confirm nor deny that. I signed an NDA, guys. Let's see. JQ said, my daughter said, stop screaming at everybody. Never! I will never stop screaming, ever. Shout out to JQ. Shout out to Kryptonian. Says, I think we're actually about to reverse here. I hope so. I assume you mean reverse to the upside. I mean, listen, even if it's not a full reversal here, like the chances of a continuation in some form or fashion of the upside is likely, not only because of the fact that we flipped that key level of support that we looked at, like perfectly, but also, you have reasons to look for the bounce, right? We looked at it in the beginning of the stream. 1 hour bullish divergences, lower lows, higher lows, 1 hour money flow crossing over into the green, SFP of the low. Right? So there's reasons to see that bounce, right? And that 1 hour money flow crossover would indicate a continuation, right? It's the higher time frame, lower highs and lower lows that we have to be aware of. And then again, I would say if we can cross through and get above this point of control and value area low, right? Major key levels of resistance, if you don't want to scrub back, right? POC sits here at about, 118.3 is going to be a huge level of resistance, right? If we can get back up there, creep up in, get above the daily, get above the POC, right? At that point, you're looking towards the value area high, and if money flow can start shaping up on the 4 hour and some of the higher time frames, then maybe we can look for that bigger rip to the upside. Definitely at support, definitely have bullish confirmations, definitely have money flow coming up, definitely could call for a continuation up. But if that 4 hour money flow is going to fake out back into the red here, or, it's not even in the green yet, but if we fake that out into the red in a bigger red wave, you do have to be aware of lower highs and lower lows. So hopefully we can just cook out of there. And then on top of that, right, fresh weekly red dot, right? We still have some other things as well. So we'll keep an eye on them. We'll update you guys here every single step of the way. So there we go. Hopefully we can get the bounce. Shout out to My Passive Freedom. Said he can't just be a millionaire. That's for sure. Hey, shout out to My Passive Freedom. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, I mean, I don't think just one single million, I don't think gets you on those jets. Shout out to Jimmy James. Thank you for the super chat, bro. I appreciate you. He says, yo, Frankie, what's good? Any chance we could take a look at Render? Yes, like I said, guys, I do have some stuff I have to take care of. I will take a quick look at Render here for you guys. I really just wanted to kind of play the, show you the local levels and the potential bounce here after breaking this key level of resistance. Must flip this, right? If we can see the continuation up. And I also wanted to cover kind of the devil's advocate in case we do put in massive lower highs and lower lows. Lose that 786. I just kind of wanted to cover that for you guys so you can kind of be aware of what we're looking at here. But my base case is the all-time high is not in, but I could be wrong. And if we're going to be wrong, losing that 786 would be the first thing to make me scratch my head and be like, this is actually a little bit worrisome. Nothing worrisome about this. This is just, pullback. So there we go. Yeah, we will take a look at XRP. I'll jump into XRP first, then we'll take a look at Render. XRP, getting a little bounce here. Let me pull it up on the alt chart. Bada boom, right? And yeah, we have not anchored VWAP. I would say your biggest local key level of resistance here on XRP is $3, right? At the anchored VWAP, $2.98. We got the bounce off that local golden pocket. You have this is pulled from the impulse. So you have your low, your high, your higher low. You really don't want to retest. I mean, I would not necessarily expect this. It's not impossible for this to act as support again, but if we do have to come back down here, I would probably be anticipating the bigger drop down towards 250 and 260. But if we could just play around with this anchored VWAP, reclaim it, right, you would still have a low, high, higher low, higher high, right? Just a little bit of chop in between. So nothing really to update here on XRP. We lost that anchor VWAP. We're bearishly retesting it right now. That's your local key level to break above. And if we do break down, key level of support still remains the same. 250 to 260, macro golden pocket, 786 of this golden pocket, local golden pocket pull, daily MPOC value area high. Something like this would not necessarily be out of the cards. So yeah, he's kind of just ranging around up here, to be honest. Like if I pull up a clean chart here, just pull this clean volume profile. Come on, TradingView. Take a sip of that black coffee. Yo, shout out to Eugene Sky said I 100x Pepe for my own private jet. Let's go. Let's go. Let's see. That's a $70 million jet. Shout out to J-Rob. Unbelievable. So that's more than 1 million. That's for sure. Shout out to Baby Genius. Said Frankie's the only truly genuine person in this world, genuinely trying to help people, or generally trying to help people, and genuinely passionate. Golden, appreciate what you do, sir. Shout out to Baby Genius. That's all I could do, guys. Listen. I don't know. It's just you know, what you get on TV, right? What you get on YouTube is what you get in real life for me. This is like an extension of my real life. I'm not gonna put on a facade. I'm not gonna put on a fake show. And the fact that we can be genuine and give actual information and actually still help people make money and change people's lives, teaching them how to trade, making money whether price goes up or down, is a dream come true for me. So I appreciate that, Baby Genius. And hopefully we get to meet one day, maybe at Bitcoin Vegas next year. We're all going to have private jets after all season. Shout out to Michael Williams. Yes, I hope so. I hope so. As long as, if the base case plays out, it could be the case. Could be the case. But yeah, XRP, you can give some local volume profile levels here. I will just break this down because we've been looking at that same chart for quite some time. So I will just mark this out as a new profile on XRP. There's your volume profile, or your VP, as some people like to call it. Value area high, POC, value area low. Deviation below the low. Lower lows on your price action, higher lows on your momentum waves. Break above your value area low. Flip it to support. Does open the door potentially to the point of control, but based on your 4-hour money flow, may be able to fake out back into the green there. That doesn't look super bad. But then you start to creep up to time frames like the 12-hour, and it's like, this actually looks kind of bad, right? So again, that's why I say, typically off the volume profiles, the magnetic nature of them is get above the value area low, hold it. POC is your next stop. Get above the POC. You can maybe make it up, but typically make it up to the value area high. But based off this money flow, you do have to be aware of the lower highs and lower lows until that winds up turning around. And I'd say here on the 12-hour, money flow like low-key kind of just like tanking, right? So yeah, but lower time frame, same thing as Bitcoin, right? 8-hour green dot, 30-minute money flow looking to cross over into the green. Inside the volume profile, magnetic POC above. I will pull some local levels up here as well. I'll pull some dailies, right? So we have a daily level right here. We have the POC. We have a weekly level right here. And let's pull our fib from this high to the low. So yeah, you could start to see kind of where that confluence starts to come in. I would pull MPOCs, but it's just going to take too long. Just pull this from the alt. Where are we at here? Yeah, pretty big resistance above here, guys. If I had to guess, you probably have some MPOCs up there on this candle. No, but you do have, I will just mark out some of these. Let me see, the weekly MPOC. All right, so I'm actually going to mark out a couple of these daily MPOCs. You got one just above you right here. You got another one right up here. Just zoom in so I can get that. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so when you start to look at this now, look at that confluence here. Anchored VWAP coming down, daily MPOC, point of control of the range, golden pocket. Yo, this is crazy, this guy. All right, hang on one sec, guys. Let me pull this up real quick. Yo, my dude. Look at that, guys. I'm on a private jet. Let's go. Yo, this is crazy. Golden, you live the life of I don't even know what. This is crazy. Look, guys, I'm on a private jet. That's me. It's crazy, bro. One day I'll be on a private jet and I'll be able to do a live stream from the private jet. That would be absolutely legendary. That's insane, guys. Look at that. I'm 43,000 feet in the sky. Let's go. Golden. You're crazy, bro. This is like, it's like, that if that doesn't step on any doubters, I don't know what will. That's insane. Insane. Truly mind-blowing. Shout out to Golden, bro. You're the GOAT. Unbelievable. If you do have some super chats here, let me make sure I didn't miss these. Yes, we will take a look at Render. And shout out to Mark S. said, can we take a look at SEI? I did a super chat the other day, and you wrote SEI down but never covered it. Shout out to Mark S. Shout out to you, bro. Yeah, I will try to take a look at SEI, guys. Reminder, please do not super chat your altcoins. Does not guarantee that we will have a chance to look at them. Obviously, I see the chat, but please save your money. You don't have to send the super chats, guys. I'll take them from free chat. But Mark S., yes, I will try to take a look at SEI for you. But please do not. Maybe we'll make like a banner. Please do not super chat altcoins because people are like, I super chatted, but you didn't look at it. I'm like, that doesn't mean that we're going to look at it. I wish I could like block altcoins from super chats, but it's just impossible. And the reason for that, like unless it's a big coin, like a lot of people ask me to look at like a meme coin that came out 3 days ago, and that's like it's kind of pointless for me. Like tons of people tune in to watch Bitcoin, Ethereum, the main coins that they're paying attention to. It makes no sense for me to like spend a bunch of time on a coin that no one really cares about. So yeah, you have to think about like the broader audience. But yeah. Anyway, take a look at XRP. So you can just kind of see here like all this resistance up here between the golden pocket, the weekly, the daily MPOC, the point of control. Its anchor VWAP is probably going to work its way down, but it could be nice with the low time frame signals we're seeing get above the value area low. Just got to be aware of that POC and potentially the 786 to potentially put a lower high and lower low based off of the higher time frame money flow. If that 12-hour money flow doesn't shape up very nicely, could be something like this, and you could just see all that confluence up here. That anchored VWAP from the all-time high is going to be huge. So there you go. Value area low sitting at 291. POC sitting at 314. Value area high sitting at 334. See if we can make it up to that POC. Daily MPOC honorable mention here, local level at about $3. So, and to be honest, if you were for some reason not going to get a push closer to that point of control, even though it is high probability because of the profile, but if you pull your local fib here, I can almost guarantee you that daily MPOC is going to be confluent with a local Fibonacci retracement, which it is. We're tapping it right now. So this would, honorable mention local level of resistance, right? Sitting between $2.98 and $3. If you get a rejection here and money flow, 16-hour green dot printing, 1 hour money flow attempting to cross over into the green. So if you do get the pullback here, I wouldn't be super, super worried unless you start losing the value area low. You could just get a little cool off here. Red and green dots indicate the ebbs and flows in the market, right? So red dot could be an ebb or flow down, but if this money flow continues up with that 16-hour green dot, the anticipation would be higher low, higher high. Break above the 786, next stop is that POC zone. That's what I would look at on XRP. Nice fresh levels there because we've been looking at that. We've been looking at this chart forever, and it's kind of getting crowded here with such like a macro outlook, and we don't have to cover these macro levels every day. So there we go. Let's take a quick look at Render, and then we'll jump into SEI. Let's see. Render. Very similar here. Fighting an anchored VWAP. But I would say here, like high time frame on Render. Yeah, it's just like, we're holding the golden pocket, still keeps the door open for a potential low, high, higher, low, confusing and annoying higher, high. But it could still be in the cards. If we come back to that, down to that golden pocket, I wouldn't necessarily expect it to hold this support. So if we lose that golden pocket, which I would say is probable, but high probability if we do come back down there, I would be looking down to that 786, which is the please mommy hold me level. So keep that in mind. So key supports down below remain exactly the same, and your key level of resistance remains the same as well. Doorway to higher prices being your value area low at 427. And, just like everything else that we looked at, high time frame green dots looking to print, but don't forget the direction of the money flow. Green dot on the 16-hour prints. If your 1 hour money flow is already in the green, so not the perfect setup there, but it is pretty close. I would say pretty similar situation, right? Could you get the bounce? I would say probably. But you just got to be careful, and you got to hold the 786 here, right? So your local support that you're bouncing off of right now is this golden pocket 786. And if we can continue up, right, maybe we can get above that value area low. So 427 is your key level of resistance and your doorway to higher prices. You are bouncing off support with a green dot printing on the 16-hour and 1 hour money flow crossover into the green. So I would say still the same thing as Bitcoin, like short term, looking for the bounce up, but being very cautious with this high time frame money flow, indicating a potential continuation of the downtrend. So really not that much to update there on render, to be quite honest. Take a look at the daily. VWAP's probably coming up, right? Yeah, VWAP starting to curve up here. Not super convincing, to be honest, right? We still have a lot of room to come up. But it is nice that it's not like a fresh crossover. 2-day money flow crossover into the red. That's not the best deal. 3-day money flow still trending up nicely here. Or I wouldn't say, it's coming out locally, but, still plenty of opportunity to kind of bing bong around, lower high, and then eventually come into the green. So yeah, same sentiment as every other altcoin. Major volume profiles up here. Once you eventually wind up getting the bigger bounce up and you hold that value area low as support, that's where you can look for the bigger fill of the range. And yeah, that's what I'll look at. Value area low sitting at 427. POC Fibonacci confluence between 652 and 771. Flip the 786 POC. Look up towards the 935 value area high. Till then, it's got it's a waiting game, right? You just got to endure this little chop, right? The biggest key level you don't want to lose is the 786 at $3.05. 303 to be exact. Because once you break this, what are we anticipating here, guys? Right? We're going to be anticipating a break of structure to the downside here. Maybe to sweep liquidity into the previous value area high, right? So if you wind up getting a bounce, continuation of the downtrend, if you don't get the bigger bounce from the 786 and you wind up losing this, I would fully be anticipating a sweep down here into the value area high. It doesn't have to end in an SFP, but that's definitely a big, big level of support to watch, right? 224. If you start breaking back in there, well, yikes, right? You potentially look to get accepted into this previous area of value, right? Here's your upper area of balance. If you are going to impulse out of there, you're going to get gravitated to the previous area of balance. Once you break back in here, you have the open opportunity. I don't want to say opportunity. You have the open bearish doorway to the POC and the value area low. So there you go. That's what I'll be looking at on render. Let's take a quick look at SCI. Not SIP. Anyway, guys. Sorry. I'm on one today. All right, let's take a look here. Oh, well. Look at that, guys. Look at that. All right, actually, no, hang on. We were already down. No, maybe not. Where were we yesterday? I don't know if we looked at SCI yesterday. I always try to figure out, when was the last way and when did we look at this? I know we pulled this fib at some point after this high was made. What was yesterday? The 19th at about, Mrs. Candles. Come here, Mrs. Candles. Can you give us a sip? Come on. Why are you such a party pooper, Mrs. Candles? She goes, absolutely not. Let me see the hand, Mrs. Candles. We need your hand. Bitcoin looking like it wants to bounce. Give me the hand, Mrs. Candles. I don't have your Clorox wipes. Come here. It's been a long time, guys. Show the CandleMafia your hand. Come on. Oh, she's got a notification on her watch. What are you trying to hide on your watch there, Mrs. Candles? You don't want the world to see what's on your watch. Well, is it a notification from Coinbase that says Bitcoin's going to the moon? All right, yeah, I'm not going to lie, guys. Mrs. Candle's too cool for us, I think. Oh, all right, my bad. She's doing important stuff. But here on SEI, guys, we got the, okay, so yesterday, what were we, like 19th, and probably, somewhere here. Key level of support here yesterday. I assume we were looking at yesterday. 6 p.m. Golden Pocket 786 anchored VWAP. Clearly support, right? I would say very similar to everything else. It's the same sentiment, guys. 6-hour green dot confirmed. 8-hour green dot printing. Let's jump on down to that 30-minute money flow. Look at that. 8-hour green dot looking to print. Money flow headed in the right direction. To me, this indicates short-term upside. Into support. Did you get bullish confirmations down here? Let's take a look. Not really. I mean, at least not on the 30-minute. Did we get the 1-hour bull div? There it is. All right, so you did get the 1-hour bull div. Lower lows on your price action into your fib zone. Higher lows on your momentum waves. 1-hour money flow coming up. 16-hour green dot. Also, VWAP coming up here. Looking for the 16-hour green dot to print. Let's check that 1-hour money flow. 1-hour money flow heading in the right direction as well. So if you could see that 30-minute, money flow crossover into the green with the 8-hour green dot. That's one market cipher B bullish setup. Then if you have the 16-hour green dot with the 1-hour money flow following shortly after, that would also support those money flow crossovers, giving you a continuation to the upside. What is the biggest level of resistance to look at? Well, let's pull our fib here. Oh, here, this was the last time we probably looked. So it was yesterday, I guess, on the live stream. But this fib zone has moved slightly. So I would say locally here, your biggest key level of resistance, if you could see the continuation up, look for the move into the golden pocket 786. If you flip that 786, hey, let's go attack that value area low at 36 cents. That's what I would look for. right? Many reasons on money flow here to look for the move up locally. And, yeah, that's what I would look at. Bullish confirmations, into key support, anchored VWAPs holding, even if it does have to be, right? Because if you take a look at the 12-hour, money flows coming out, indicating the trend could continue down. Doesn't mean that you can't get the retracement into that high probability, lower high, lower low. Money flow makes you look for on the higher time frames for lower highs, lower lows. Nothing saying here we can't get the short-term bounce. I would say money flow and market cipher B are pointing towards a continuation up here. Just got to be careful around here, sitting between 34 and 33 cents. Get above that, well, hey, now we can just go up and attack that value area low again. Flip that to support. That is your doorway to higher prices, potentially targeting the POC at 45 cents. That's what I'd be looking at on SEEP. Anyway, does anybody know what that's from? Does anybody know Daddy Wellness? SEEP. Anyway, he pops his in and just says, SEEP. That guy's awesome. I love that guy. That guy's my spirit animal. All right, let's see. Shout out to Brillo, said you pulled the daily and weekly, but what does that mean, daily, weekly, open? So where I get my daily and weekly levels that you see me pull, right? Let me just pull up a random chart here, right? I'll just pull up it on Bitcoin. When I'm looking for daily and weekly levels, I actually have a video on how I find these levels, right? It's nothing like proprietary or anything. It's just like how you would mark out daily levels. But, you know, on the weekly, right, you look for your bodies, right? So I would grab a horizontal ray here, and I magnet tool it, right? And just a little tip for you guys, if you don't want to click the magnet tool, you could just hold down Control on PC. If you're on a PC, on Mac, I guess it would be what, Command or Option, and it'll just like activate your magnet, right? Control, let go. Control, let go. Very nice, right? So you don't have to keep going over here and clicking. But anyway, you use the magnet tool, and I just slam it on those bodies, right? So that would be a naked weekly level. Right here, this would not be a naked weekly level as of right now, because if this candle breaks above, that would invalidate that level, so you have to wait for the candle to confirm. But right down here, you can see even candle bodies, bada boom, there's another weekly. Here, you had the weekly, but it got tapped, and you can see how strong those levels can be. So there you go, and then it's the same thing on the daily. You would just do that on the daily time frame. So that's when you're not looking at the MPOCs, that's how you would pull the daily and weekly levels. So there you go. Let's see. Oh, shout out to Darren Dussing. Says, Brillo, they're the start of the daily or weekly order block bodies. Yeah, shout out to Darren Dussing. There we go. Darren, always coming up with those answers. I love you, Darren. Thank you so much for doing that, bro. Always helping people in the chat. Not only on YouTube, but also in the premium Discord. We appreciate you so much, man. Let's see. I need some sleep, y'all. Shout out to JoJo. Thank you for being here, bro. And we'll see you tomorrow, man. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night. Go touch some grass or comforters, I guess, or maybe your wife. I don't know. But anyway, let's continue on. Thanks for the clarification. Shout out to Brillo. No problemo, bro. No problemo. Shout out to Crypto Owl. What is going on? Says the greatest 100. Shout out to Crypto Owl. Welcome in, brother. Welcome in. Shout out to Pose. Said, Frankie, when will we make this meeting with the Mafia in Greece? Shout out to Pose. Should we do a Greek meetup? Tony D is Greek, or part Greek at least. He'll be out there, you know, I don't know, making olive leaves or something. Making gyros. But anyway, let's continue on. Shout out to Matan. Said, why not use 3 versions of the PVP indicator and change the time frame to daily, weekly, monthly? Shout out to Matan. For MPOCs, that's exactly what I do. That's exactly what I do, brother. I have a tutorial showing you guys how I do that on YouTube. So there you go. There's your weekly MPOCs, daily MPOCs, monthly MPOCs. And then I just go there with a horizontal line. I go ahead and crack those out. Bada boom. That sounded weird. There you go. Bada boom. Monthly MPOC. There you go. That's how we do it, baby. I pull a lot of my MPOCs from ExoCharts. I found them to be more accurate. But you could totally do this on TradingView. I even have the template up here. I show you how to do that as well. So if you want to see your MPOCs, you click the button, go to your monthly, weekly, daily, mark out your MPOCs, and then you can go back to Market Cipher or back to Lux Algo. So there you go. Shout out to Tectonic. Says, bro, what would you do if your coin is only ETH and you hold for 3 years? Shout out to Tectonic. I'm not 100% exactly sure what you're saying there. If you just clarify it, you don't have to send a super chat. Just clarify it, and I'll try to get it in the chat there. I'm happy to answer your question. I'm not fully understanding what you're saying. Like if ETH was the only thing I held and I held it for 3 years, what would I do? In that case, if that's what you're asking. I mean, let's see here. I mean, potentially taking profit, right? I mean, at that point, it's yeah. I mean, at that point, I don't really know if I fully understand the question. Like, are you asking me if I would take profit here? Potentially. But yeah, if you want to clarify in the chat, I'll give you I'll try to give you a better answer. Yo, shout out to Jury says, Frankie, thanks for everything. I'm smashing through your videos. They are super helpful. Shout out to Jury, bro. Change your life, my friend. Change your life, my friend. The beginner series and all the tutorials on this channel are basically a free trading course, or at least a free beginner's trading course. Good work, bro. Not a lot of people have the discipline and like the grit to just like, everybody just wants to get into trading and like get a signal and just like buy and sell and get rich overnight, which is obviously not how trading works. Very difficult thing. But it is possible to make money trading. Obviously, hopefully I'm an example of that for you guys. But you got to put the work in, and it seems like Jury is putting in that work. So shout out to you, bro. I have high hopes for you. Keep us updated on your journey, bro, because if you're just starting, I'd love to see how quickly you can get it by going through kind of the YouTube channel and learning from us. We've had some people get real far pretty quick, way faster than I had to endure. I took the long way of trading, guys. Why? Because I chased money and I tried to get rich overnight. It wasn't until I kept getting crushed for a long time before I was like, you know what? Why don't I stop trying to get rich overnight and just focus on the skill of trading? And maybe the money will come soon after that. And I gave myself 2 full years. And I said, I'm just going to focus on the skill. I'm not going to try to get rich overnight. In 2 years, I don't even care if I don't make any money. I just want to improve my skill. And shocker, guys, it didn't take the full 2 years. But just by lengthening that time horizon to give myself, changed the whole game for me, right? Because I stopped chasing the money. It just took it out of my brain. It really does help. And I know it sounds counterintuitive, right, or contradictive, because it's like, don't you want to make money when trading? Yes, but if you want to learn this skill and keep it for a lifetime and be able to make money from anywhere in the world, at your desk, on your phone, sending smoke signals, I don't know. But if you really want to learn this skill and keep it for a lifetime and actually replace your income with trading, you have to understand it's going to take time. And, there's a reason why it has such a high failure rate. And in my opinion, it's because not a lot of people are willing to put in the work that it takes to learn the skill over the period of time that it takes. So, yeah, shout out to Jury. Good luck, bro. I believe in you. I can already tell. Super chats. Let me come in here. Golden said super chats, so we go to the super chats. Let's see here. Sent more in Discord. Yo, okay, hang on one second. I'll take a look at Ondo next, guys, but let me just see here. The video is only 6 seconds and safe to play. It's PG. Shout out to Golden. Thank you for the super chat. And a $100 super chat. Golden. Yo, that's crazy, bro. It's like he's on a private jet. He's gifting memberships. He's sending mad super chats. Insane. He said, I don't always stream YouTube on the plane jet, on the private jet, but when I do, it's always Frankie Candles. Let's go. Shout out to Golden, bro. He said, sent more in Discord. Let me go ahead and take a look at what we got here. I'm just going to pull my face cam up real quick, guys. Oh, man. Let me see here. This is, bear with me here, guys. I trust Golden 100%. This is breaking Frankie Candle's policy, but I'll be honest, guys. If Golden is, yo, this is crazy, bro. Hang on one second. I'm just gonna show this. Let me just make sure. Okay. Golden's got the receipts, bro. Golden's got the receipts. Guys, I just want to warn you. Never mind. Golden, we trust Golden. What is this, bro? You don't even have to pull out your own tables. This is crazy, bro. This is insane. Bro, I don't know. I don't. Shout out to Golden, bro. Who are you, Golden? Who are you, man? Shout out to Golden, man. Shout out to Crypto Billy, said super chat. Thank you, bro. Let's see. Sentiment is bipolar right now. It makes Bitcoin look stable. Shout out to George. I would agree with that, bro. I would agree with that. And shout out to Jack, said, can we take a look at DGen? Yeah, we could try to take a look at DGen for you. I'm going to take a quick look at Ondo. Yo, it's crazy, bro. Golden's insane. All right, let's thank you, Golden. Shout out to Brillo. Let's go. People choosing trading mostly because they think they don't need to work hard to make money, but you actually need to work on the skill to make it and need a lot of discipline. Yeah, shout out to Pose. It's the discipline and it's the hard work that most people just try to avoid, right? Like, and honestly, that is a product of how trading is sold online. Join my Discord. Get rich overnight. Guys, I have a paid Discord. It is not a get-rich-quick scheme. You are not going to get rich overnight. But what I can try to do, right? Trading is very hard. And the best thing I can do is try to help you along your journey and help you avoid the mistakes that I made, right? And even when you're a beginner, I always say, if you're a beginner, run through the YouTube channel, right? Because honestly, being in the Discord, you're not going to be successful in trading unless you're willing to put in the work. And if you think the Discord is just going to get you making money instantly, it's just not the case, right? Now, I do give the spoon-fed trade setups. They do more play out much more often than they don't. But that's not even necessarily going to guarantee a win, right? Because if you don't know how to manage the trade, I could tell you, hey, this is what I'm looking at to take a long position. And even if it plays out 10 out of 10 times, right? If you don't know how to manage that trade, you're not taking profit, you're not managing your risk, you're not setting your stop loss, you're not going to make money, right? And it takes work to get that stuff down. So I always tell people, if you want to join the premium Discord, sure, jump in if you want to try to, maybe it'll expedite your process. It'll help your learning process. But there's no group you can join to just get rich overnight, guys. If it was that easy, right, no one would ever learn how to trade, right? Everyone would just be in a Discord group making billions and billions and billions of dollars. No one would have a job, right? You can make tons of money trading. You can get rich trading. Trust me. But it's not with no work. There's no shortcuts, right? But yeah, not everyone will be honest with you about that. So yeah. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Pose said, Frankie, bro, take my credit card, take my money. You deserve it. Shout out to Pose. No, don't give me your money, bro. Don't give me your money. But anyway, shout out to Pose. Let's take a look here at Ondo. And then we'll take a quick look at Degen. And, I did have stuff to do today, guys, but, the Mafia is more important. So what I have to do is extremely important, though. It's like, but anyway, let's take a look here at Ondo real quick. I'm going to kind of fly through Ondo because we are running a bit late here. So, yeah, Ondo, this all remains the same. Like, this is in the same place that it was sitting when we looked at it last time. Got a little continuation down. Biggest key level of support still sits down here. Untapped golden pocket POC, 83 to 78 cents. 786, honorable mention. You could potentially look at this as a large zone, right? You can look at that like as a full zone of support because if you want to hold your, if you want to hold your low, your high, higher low, higher high, that 786 is kind of the line in the sand. Once you break that 786, probably going to come take that low. So there you go. So yeah, that remains exactly the same. And key resistance remains exactly the same as well, right? Like money flow, right? 12-hour money flow. I mean, this indicates long-term, even if you get that little continuation up, you are going to be looking for lower highs and lower lows. Which, yeah, that would be the indication, right? But low time frame, right? It's the same thing as everything else. And I'm kind of front-running that and assuming that. But as you can see, the assumption was high probability. 16-hour green dot, 1-hour money flow crosses into the green. Whoops. That would indicate, right? Maybe you have that 1-hour ever flow to the downside, but as long as that money flow stays in the green, that 16-hour green dot stays there, could look for higher lows and higher highs for the local continuation up. And then you just got to be careful of your lower highs and lower lows. I would say the biggest level to get above locally here would be your full Fibonacci retracement from the high to the low. All right, so watch that golden pocket 786. Once you break above that 786, I'm looking up towards the value area high. So unless you're looking to trade this locally, like ride that move up into the golden pocket or something like that, I would say the biggest levels still remain the same. Dip in here. Potential bounce. If you get the rip up first and you take out the highs, like this is still key resistance. You have a previous value area high and a current value area high sitting between $1.17 and $1.23. That's what I'd look at. That's Ondo. Market Cipher just says the same thing, right? Like whatever ETH looks like, 99% of the altcoins are going to look like. So let's take a quick look at Degen here. Not Dean. Who's Dean? Let's take a look here. Shout out to Golden. Thank you for the super chat. Said, listen, y'all. Shout out to Golden. Listen, y'all. I was trading over $35 million a year and making maybe 8 to 11% profit. Then I found Frankie and had to look at myself in the mirror and say, I didn't know what I was doing, and I needed to start over. I had to re-educate myself the Frankie Candles way. Shout out to Golden, baby. Thank you so much for that super chat. And thank you for saying that, bro. And yeah, it's for sure. I don't want to like undersell that, I can try and help you, right? And we have a lot of people in the Discord that have had like pretty big transformations. The DMs that we get are crazy, right? We've had people pay off cars, we've had people pay for their kids' college, but it is not by them getting in the Discord and hearing buying and making $1 million, right? But we've actually had people, all the people who have been successful are the ones that, and a lot of them, right? But it's the ones that put in the work, right? Like they didn't just like take a signal and get rich overnight. But yeah, it's like, I just like to be very transparent about like, you have to be willing to put in the work, right? Like if it sounds too good to be true, which is what 99% of people want to hear, they don't care if it's not true. They just want to hear what they want to hear, even if they don't become successful. But for those people who really want to put in the work and change their life and have the grit to actually do that are the ones that are going to change their life forever. If you trust me, I chased every online money-making scheme there is, guys. Every single one. Drop shipping, Amazon, copywriting, everything, wholesale, everything. And all of it, right? I found success in some, I failed at most. But all the ones that I found success in some form or fashion, it was not what the people online told me. Even Amazon FBA, that was the one I found the most success with other than trading. 1 hour of work a week. Get rich. Make $50K a month. 1 hour of work a week. I made money with Amazon. It was way more than 1 hour a week. I had to get through. It was the same thing with trading, right? Like on Amazon, I was like, I need to like stop trying to get rich quick because it's not working, right? Like people are making money doing this. I see this. It's probably, I kind of just already thought like it's probably, if it's too good to be true, it probably isn't, right? I think most people have that common sense. But it wasn't until I realized that and started putting in the extra work and accepting that it's going to be hard. And that, once I figured that out, that's when I started to see success. So it's not that it's, stuff like that, like, Amazon FBA is like known as an internet scam. I love when people say that because I've genuinely made money with that consistently over many months, right? But it just isn't 1 hour work a week. It was much more than that. It was much more than a regular job, right? But again, there's a reason the 1% are the 1%, guys. So the ones that are willing to do what the 99% don't want to do. Most people just want to do pyramid schemes and hope they get rich, right? But anyway, shout out to Golden, bro. Thank you for saying that. Yo, again with another $100 super chat. Golden, is it raining money in the jet? I just want to know. He said, now I trade $9 million a year and I make $8 million in profit. Shout out to Golden. Shout out to Golden, bro. Insane. 90%. Whenever you need a ride, Frankie, hit me up. You literally changed my life in ways that you cannot even begin to imagine, but I'm trying to share with you. Shout out to Golden. You do share with us, bro. And I am forever indebted to you. And the fact that I was able to help you out in any way, shape, or form is insane. It literally makes my life. Shout out to Golden, bro. That's unbelievable. Yo. But let everybody know, Golden, was it easy? Did you get rich overnight? Or did you study? You work hard? Did you watch all the videos? I know he did because he told me. Taking notes, right? Watching the videos, taking notes, right? It's the hard work that pays off. Shout out to Golden. And I just helped, bro. You had the discipline to do the work, right? That's all I could do. I could try to show you what to do. I could teach you my mistakes. But if you don't learn from them, if you don't study, if you don't practice, it's not going to happen. But Golden was able to do it. Shout out to Golden. Let's go. Yeah, Eddie W. Golden. Yeah, this man, dude. Let's see. Golden the GOAT. Unbelievable. Golden, you might have broken a record here with these super chats and gifted memberships, bro. Insane. The whole top of my screen is just covered with golden banners. Shout out to Golden, bro. Forever indebted, man. Shout out to you, man. But yeah, let's take a quick look at DGen. Yeah, is this all we got? All right, we got a little more here. Okay, so I'll just give you macro levels here. I don't love this profile, if I'm being honest. POC value area low getting respected, value area high not so much. Let's take a look at Market Cipher real quick. Yeah, 3-day money flow taking a little dip there, but again, generally, right, this is pretty much trending to the upside. So let's check that 16-hour. Yeah, so market cipher wise, right? Like high time frame, hourly time frame, 16, 12-hour money flow coming out, indicating the continuation of the downtrend potentially. But the green dot on the 16-hour with the 1-hour money flow in the green here, right? And what happens? That 1-hour money flow crosses into the green, you get the bounce to the upside. You start combining that with your volume profiles, guys. It is a goated strategy. Even what we looked at on Bitcoin. Is Bitcoin still popping? Still kind of bing-bonging around here, man. This resistance is crazy. But even here on Bitcoin, right? Like the volume profiles will change your life. I swear to God. It's get above the value area low. And this is like kind of a poor example because you kind of bing-bong around a million times because we had this major level of resistance. But oftentimes, when you have the value area low, you deviate below with bullish confirmations. And we even have the Frankie Candles Essentials Indicator, which is 100% free. Just search my name in TradingView. It'll even give you the signals, right? Not that you should trade them as buy or sell signals, but it'll let you know when you're getting these bullish confirmations below the volume profile so you can look to catch some positions down here. Unfortunately, I did not catch this position. But typically, this is what we look for, right? You're looking for deviation below the volume profile. And why are you looking at that? Well, your volume profile indicates the fair value. When you deviate below, you look at that as a cheap asset. Lower lows, higher lows. That's your bullish confirmation. You get the SFP at the low. You have bullish confirmations below the volume profile. At that point, your anticipation is at least a bounce off the bullish confirmations. And then once you get above that value area low, the next likely place for price to go is going to be that POC in the value area high. It's not 100%, right? I wish it was, right? I would just have a bot trade these and I would be laying on a beach somewhere. But very high probability situation. I have tutorial videos on the channel. Like if you're new here and you want to learn how to trade, just watch through the beginner series. It'll get you from like knowing nothing about the chart to setting up your trading view, understanding how to find high probability setups, how to read the volume profiles, how to pull them, how to trade them, how to use Fibonacci's. It's all for free, right? All the information's there. All you got to do is the work. So there you go. But yeah, and then when we look here at DGen, right? When you have that in combination, right, or even back on Bitcoin, right, when you have that in combination with your 1-hour money flow crossing into the green or even coming up, right, not only do you have the bull divs with your SFP, you also have your money flow coming up, indicating the trend may be able to continue to the upside. And what do you have? Continuation of the trend. So as long as that comes into the green, the chances of filling that profile are even higher than a traditional volume profile because you have the market cipher B 116 strategy playing out. So back to DGen now. I wish I had a cleaner volume profile to look at because there's not really it's not really a nice one to look at here, to be quite honest, right? It's like typically I pull these over the areas of consolidation. Whoops, those are anchored VWAPs. Yeah, it's like it's kind of difficult, but you know, if I had to, I'd have to look at this volume profile. And you can even see here, technically you front ran that value area high, but what happens here, right? Let's come to like a 1-hour time frame. Right? Or even here, right? You deviate below the low. Even if you don't fill the whole profile, deviate below the low. Here's a bullish divergence on the 1-hour time frame. Higher lows, lower lows. Money flow starts to come up. At that point, value area low is resistance until proven otherwise, but once that money flow starts coming up, the trend to the upside is very high probability. And once you're inside of that range, the next high probability or highest probability, next likely place for price to go is the point of control. And what happens? You get an aggressive trend up towards that POC. And you didn't get to fulfill the profile, at least yet. I mean, technically, the doorway to the POC and potentially the value area high is still open here because you have not lost the range. So I would say this is your macro volume profile. It's really the only thing I can look at here, unless I were to pull like a hyper local profile. So I would say right here, value area high, POC, value area low. And yeah, I mean, even looking at a higher time frame here, it's like, you know, deviate below the low, flip the value area to support, POC, front run the value area high slightly. Actually, maybe at the time, no, never mind. You did front run it. But then you come back down to the low, hold it at support, next deviate below, next likely place for price to go, POC. Come back down below, right? So as long as we hold this value area low, this is the biggest level of support on DGen, in my opinion. You have your value area low at 0.0028, POC at 0.0045, and then your value area high at 0.0098. So yeah, biggest level of support is that value area low. As long as you stay in here, right? Even if you retest the value area low, doorway to the POC is open, flip that POC, go to the value area high. Similar to what we saw on Ethereum on the macro profile. You break above the, or deviation below the low. This is one of the big reasons why I was able to stay bullish on Ethereum, right? We deviate below the low. I know. Why does this work, right? I'll just explain this. I'll dish some sauce for you guys. And this might sound repetitive for people who have been here, but if you're new here, why does this work, right? Well, this is your fair value. Anything above it is expensive. Anything below it is cheap, right? And this was obviously the bear market, but you deviate below that macro profile. So at that point, right, like this is looked at as a cheap asset. This might be where you want to start accumulating Ethereum. Once you get back up to that value area low, it's resistance until proven otherwise, but you know this is DCA zone, right? So DCA, 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 right? Get a nice little average price, and then you know once you break above that value area low, POC is next, stay inside the value area, POC is open, value area high for the full fill of the range. What happens up here? Well, if this is my fair value inside the profile, this is looked at as expensive. This is where you want to look for shorts. This is where you want to look for longs. This is where you want to look for shorts. This is where you want to look for longs. That's why I was able to stay bullish down here for the most part, right? We were coming down to support. I knew we were deviating below the range. Also, where we were in the cycle was very unlikely that Ethereum was just going to keep going to zero. But what happens? Deviate above the high, back into the range. You fake out again, back in, can't get out, fulfill the range. Bounce off the low, get above the POC, back to the high. Deviate above the high. What do you do up here? You're looking for shorts. Get back into the range, can't get back out. Next likely place for price to go, POC, value area low. Deviate below is where you're looking for longs or dollar cost average, or maybe look for long positions, you know, if you can find a local entry. Once you get back up to that value area low, that's your doorway to higher prices. Get inside here. Next likely place for price to go is the POC. And even if you have to go test that value area low, as long as you can stay in the range, doorway to the POC and the value area high is the highest probability. And you might be saying to yourself, but Frankie, now we're deviating above the high again. Are we going to rotate again? I mean, it's not impossible, but this is why it's so important on Ethereum, in my opinion, to stay above the value area high. If we have to come back down here and retest, flip it to support, send it back up, you get accepted back in, it gets a little bit more, becomes a little bit more of a sticky situation, right? Because this could be acceptance into the range. Very similar to here and all the way back here, right? Which resulted in a acceptance into the range, POC value area low. Acceptance into the range, POC value area low. Acceptance into the range, POC value area low. Right? So that's why this is such a key level of support. It's such a high probability of rotation. Now, if money flow is cracking to the upside and we test some of these Fibonacci levels, maybe you can get a fake out and a push back up. Right? So it becomes a little bit more of a difficult situation. But in my opinion, it's much easier to look for a long on like a breakout like this rather than look to long the golden pocket into key resistance, right? Because once you get into that range, it's very likely that you can get accepted in and go back to the low. So could you shoot out of there? Sure. But you're going to be thinking to yourself like, oh, man, like if we can't get above this, we're probably going down, right? So just to show you kind of like the high probability there. This is like just undervalued price. Like people, Ethereum's going to zero, no new all-time high. And technically, we got close to the all-time high. We haven't put a new one in just yet. But it's part of the reason why we are able to say like, am I worried down here? Not really, right? That's why. When do we get worried? We get worried when we're at the high. This is why you'll see me be contrarian to what a lot of people look for, right? Because a lot of people just get bullish when price pumps, right? Oh my God, we're bullish. Oh my God, we're bullish, right? So if you're saying you're bearish up here, people are like, you're an idiot. We're breaking out. Have you ever looked at a chart, man? We're pumping. We're going up. That means we're going to go up forever, right? But that's why I'm always, most of the time contrarian, because as a trader, it doesn't mean I think it's going to zero, but it's like if I see this is overvalued and I get entry confirmations to look for a short, I'm not going to buy it, because if you buy it up here, you're buying the top. But what do? I look for shorts so I can make money on the way down. So there you go. And I am still holding my short even on Bitcoin, right? Just like educationally, right? Short on Bitcoin was based off the fake out of the all-time high. And then once we got back into this volume profile, very high probability rotation. Well, technically, it was this volume profile. If I want to be super stickler here. Whoops. Right? Once I get deviate above the high, this is, sure, could you get the breakout? Yes. Could this have been possible? Absolutely. But when you fake out the all-time high and you start getting the failed auction or the fake out, once you start losing that previous high, now you're looking at this and you're saying, well, hey, bearish divergence is here on the 4 and 5 hour. Shorted that failed auction here at about 122. I'm not sure my exact entry, somewhere in here, right? And then the anticipation is let's ride that down to the value area high. If you get accepted into the value area high, very likely you go to the POC. And then once you lose that POC, where are you going? Value area low. Why are we looking for potential bounces here? Well, we're below the value area. So it's not as simple as just getting above the value area, right? You have to be careful of situations like this where you deviate up. You could look for the higher low and the higher high. But shocker here, guys. We actually took a long in the premium Discord right at this level for that full take profit to get hit. So it's, you have to know what you're looking at. It's not as easy as just like, I wish I could say, like, that's all you have to do. Just wait till you're at the high and short, right? There's much more to it, which is why I say it takes hard work. But, when you start to understand the entry triggers to look for and you start to get a little bit of market experience, it really is like these volume profiles are life-changing. Even here, it was respected insanely. Deviate above the high. Back in. Back to the POC. Back to the low. I'm pretty sure we tapped the current value area low there. This is pulled all the way back here. But from the low to the high. From the high to the low. From the low to the high. From the high to the POC to the low. Deviate below the low, back in, POC, back to the high. This is trade opportunity. 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 And if we reclaim that value area low, potentially another trade opportunity, right? Just like a general top-down view of the volume profiles. Overvalued, 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 undervalued, undervalued, rotation, 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 undervalued. Again, we have to be careful of the lower highs and lower lows, but if you can get accepted back in, maybe another rotation, right? Got to be careful around that POC, right? So context is important. Money flow is important. It's not just going to happen every single time. The key is understanding when you're getting the confirmations. You have to know what to look for to enter the trade, right? And know that there's a high probability of a continuation up. That's what we cover more in the premium Discord. Actually, how to enter the trades, what confirmations are we looking for, etc. But you can just see, and price ranges 80% of the time. That gives you the most trading opportunities in the volume profile, right? Price ranges more than it trends, right? That is just a fact of the markets, right? Range for 218 days. Range for 93 days. Range for 56 days. Range for 44 days. Range for 37 days, right? Even down here. Range for 426 days. Range, right? But you have so many opportunities within those ranges. That's why I love volume profiles, right? Because it gives you the most opportunity for little day trades. And hey, this is another reason why we're able to catch a lot of long positions at the tippy low. A lot of people are like, how are you sniping the lows like that, bro? When you trade the volume profiles, you're oftentimes looking for longs below the low, right? Just in anticipation of a push back into the profile and a push up to the high. But what I do here is maybe you take some profit at the value area low. If not, you could take TP1 at the POC, TP2 at the value area high, and then leave a portion of that trade running. So it's not that I did take a long position down here, but it's not that I knew that once I longed here, I was guaranteed to go to 100K, right? What I thought was if I take a high probability trade here, the high probability is that if we get back into the range, I can fill this range in full for a beautiful, give it a 30% move, right? But if that winner runs, I can hold a portion of that with my stop loss at break even, not only keeping the open opportunity to make more money, but also protecting myself. If I get rejected at the high again, I can get stopped out, but stopped out in profit. I've already locked in money. I've already moved my stop loss, right? So you let those, day trade, or I wouldn't say day trade. This took longer than a day, right? But you have a shorter term trade, a single, a double, right? And then you get a single, and maybe you get stopped out at a loss. Then you take another single, it turns into a double, and then you move your stop loss, take some profit, and then it's shockingly or not shockingly, but obviously there are things you can look for here to indicate the continuation up. You had your daily money flow massively crossing into the green here. But, you let those singles and doubles are where you make your money, and then those grand slams hit you by surprise. So there you go. Shout out to anybody who's new here. I know I just dumped a lot of information on you, but it's very important, especially if you want to learn how to trade. You can do this. The volume profiles will change your life, but it does take hard work, and you have to understand the full context of the market, entry triggers, all this stuff. But if it's too good to be true, it probably isn't. And the fact that trading is a difficult thing should get you excited because it means it's possible. So yeah, there you go. Let's see. Frankie, how did you know when to draw the ETH volume profile? Is it fixed or anchored? Also, how do you distinguish the macro and micro volume profiles? Shout out to Matan. Go ahead and check out the beginner series and watch those tutorials. I explain it all in full detail. But really the way I pull them is I pull them over consolidation, right? So anytime I see a little bit of a range, and maybe I'll just pull up local price action to give you like back here, right? What do? Right? We start bing bonging sideways, right? I'll even come into bar. It's not going to populate in bar replay mode, unfortunately, but we're bing bong. Let's say this is current price action, right? Well, I'm like, well, hey, we have like a little bit of consolidation here. Let me pull a little volume profile, right? And pretend these candles aren't here, right? And it's like, all right, well, hey, deviation below the low, PLC, value area high. Reject the value area high, back down to the POC, right? That was not a full rotation, right? We could only, you can only hope that it would be that perfect every single time. But what happens? You bounce off the POC, you go back up, get back into the range, POC, value area low, right? And then as that price action develops, as long as you're and you can even just draw this out, right? The range that I pulled on Ethereum, just to be clear, this volume profile on ETH that played out so perfectly so many times, right? Where's those daily MPOCs? Let me turn these off, right? The reason, right, this range is pulled just from this area of value, right? This is where the market found balance. Expensive, cheap, expensive, expensive, cheap, expensive, cheap, right? But this range pull stops right here when the range broke down. Why? Because this is the balanced price in the range. Once you impulse out of it, this is no longer balanced price action. This is imbalance. This is balance. The ranges are balanced. This is imbalance. So I don't want to incorporate this candle volume in the area of balance because the balanced areas are the magnet for price. So this one is pulled all the way. This end of this range is in May of 2022, and it still plays out perfectly like this, right? So you could pull them anywhere, right? Like I pull them in consolidation, right? So there's an area of balance, but you can also say this is an area of balance, right? Well, what happens when you reapproach that range? Well, let's pull it, right? Get above the low, flip it to support, POC, value area high. Deviate above the high, POC, can't get out, value area low, right? So you can pull them. I pull them on consolidation. But if you watch the tutorial video, I go into detail about how you can use them, where you can pull them from. And you could potentially, even right now, what do we have? High, low, high, low, high. You could pull this as a full range, potentially. So there you go. But there we go. We're giving away free sauce today. Let's go. Hang on 1 second, guys. We got some super chats here. Oh, my God. Let's see. Shout out to Joan Van Lille. Shout out to you, bro. Thank you for the super chat. He says, hey, man, I just joined in. What do you think, in your opinion, not financial advice, of course, according to the market at the moment, do you think we are bullish again or bearish from this bounce? Shout out to Joan. I think that's how I would say that. Johan. Just go back to the beginning of the stream. I give you my full thoughts on everything in like super detail of what we're looking for short term, long term, where to be careful for, not only to be careful for lower highs, but what exact levels. So scrub back, take a look at that, and it'll answer all of your questions in probably more detail than you were even looking for. So shout out to Johan. Thank you for the super chat, bro. Sweet Biscuit McGee. Thank you for the super sticker, bro. I appreciate you. And Golden with a $200 super chat. I literally had to look at myself in the mirror and say, you don't know what you're doing. I stopped trading for 6 months because I knew I had to re-educate myself and start over. It took me over a year of watching your videos, studying and learning only a fraction of what I know to get here. Shout out to Golden. Let's go, baby. That is what it takes. And that's how you see the success that Golden has seen. Shout out to Golden, bro. And another 50 Frankie Candles membership. Golden! Golden! Oh, my God, Golden. And Jay Violet with the membership. Let's go. Golden says hashtag givers gain. Golden, you are a giver if I've ever met one. But, guys, that's all the time I got for today's live stream. I was literally supposed to end early tonight. I didn't say it. I was supposed to end early tonight. I have really important stuff I have to do. Low-key kind of messed that up today. But anyway, had to dish the sauce to the Mafia, give you guys a little bearish case outlook, a little short-term outlook. So watch that 16-hour green dot with the 1-hour money flow crossover into the green for the local continuation up. If you just tuned in, scrub back to the beginning of the stream, and low-key, people charge for the information I just gave you guys. So definitely go rewatch this if you have to. But that's all the time. A piece of fuzz on the desk. That's all the time we got for today's live stream. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you so much for the super chats. Golden, you're the absolute goat. Shout out to Jay Violet, George, everyone who super chatted, Crypto Billy super chatting to tell me to look at super chats. I appreciate every single one of you guys from the bottom of my heart. I can help you, but I cannot do the work for you. So shout out to you guys. Hopefully we can get the bounce from here, but I'll keep you guys updated tomorrow. If we got anything crazy, I'll drop a market update. But if not, I'll see you tomorrow. Same place, same time, right here, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Frank Candles YouTube channel. No fake out tonight because I literally got to go right now. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, here we go. Yeah, at the top of the class on a roll. Ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor.